So I'm glad all of you who are here so far are here. And I've started this because I go to tons of events and big events like the New Music Seminar and the ASCAP big event. And there's so many of them and they're so amazing and you get so much information, but you never have a chance to figure out what you do with it. Like, what do you do to apply it to yourselves so that you can navigate this world of music? Because all those panelists just get up there and they spew how fabulous they are and everybody talks about themselves and all the great stuff they've done and yeah, and that's really great. But how do we do that is things that I found that no one came away with. There was time for 3 questions by the time the people were all done saying how fabulous they were, and nobody had a chance to find out really how to apply it and what they could do to continue in this business and make a living especially, and not just make it a hobby, but be able to find a way to make money like all those fabulous people do on the panels. So that's why we started this. And it's all question and answer. And I might interject something extra if I think that it would be useful for this mission. And some of you might know some of this stuff already, so bear with those who might not. And that's why I sent out the handouts, hoping that would help a little bit with some of the basic things. And so who wants to start with a fabulous question? Just come on mic, you can unmute yourself and just raise your hand and tell me who wants to start, and we'll start the questions going.
I'll start.
Okay.
Jeff here.
Yes, Jeff, I see you.
Okay, so one question I have is, as you know, I write some music, I write some lyrics, but I also do a lot of collaborating. And one of my main concerns when I take on a collaborator that isn't part of our inner group, our inner circle, is to make sure that I have total control over the song to be able to do whatever and not have to get permission later on by someone who could actually, stop a campaign that we're on or anything by, having one of the co-writers say that they don't want to do something. Is there protocol for that? And is there some sort of standard agreement that I should be having my collaborator sign?
That's a great question. Sarah also is sending that question today. And Thornton is here. Hi, Thornton. Welcome. Thornton is a book writer and songwriter and just an interviewer and fabulous person. So welcome, Thornton. And if you come on camera, that's cool. So Jeffrey was just asking about agreements beforehand for control of pitching the songs. And that's a great question. And there is no standard agreement, but I will tell you that to write with me, it's like going through an El Al to get on their airplane interview. I mean, I put them through the ringer before I write with anyone because so many yucky things have happened that I myself, in writing, ask these questions. Are you going to allow me to pitch the song myself? Because if not, I'm not going to write with you. So I do this up front, like Sarah was asking, after the song was written, but I don't wait till after the song was written. Up front, I agree with the splits. I only write in equal splits. So if you want to count lyrics and count words and count melody notes, that I'm not going to write with you. I'm only going to write in equal splits. I don't care who contributes more than what, or because if we're all in the room and we're all writing together, everybody's equally collaborating just by telling their story and being there and participating. So I set that up first. Now, in terms of who's producing the song, who's going to own the master? Well, now, Jeffrey, you're usually producing the song, right?
Correct.
So you're going to own the master because you're producing it. However, I will say I take no money from my collaborators because the minute they pay for something, they have an entitlement in that master. So if I want to own the master being the recording, the actual recording, for anyone who doesn't know that, I am going to make sure I take no money. I do the production, the arranging, I pay all the musicians, I take the time, and now I own the master. However, does that mean that I can license the sync, the publishing part, the song part? No, I still have to be able, they still are part of that. So they also own that. So I have to make sure in advance, like you're asking, that I have in writing, I can pitch that song and place it anywhere I want, as long as I pay you, should there be any sync master fee. Sometimes it's gratis, so there is no fee up front. But as long as the other co-writers' names are on the cue sheets, on the licenses, that they're all there, that's my agreement with them. And vice versa, Jeff. If I write a song with you, even if I own the master, I'm going to let you pitch it, and I'm going to let you license it on behalf of everybody. And then you're going to just make sure if there is a master fee that you remit it to me because I own the master. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I would have one question on that. If the song that we are collaborating on was for my artist, I would not want to give you the ability to pitch it and then maybe get an exclusivity if I invested the time and money to produce the song for my artist.
Okay, so that's a great thing that you added, because, and anybody, if you want to add or ask something, you can type in the chat box. If you, okay, wait, I lost my train of thought. So say that again to me, because I just lost my train of thought.
Okay, so we co-wrote a song, and I gave you, we both have agreement to go pitch it, but the song is being used for my artist, and which I produced, spent the money to produce. The one thing I wouldn't want out of that is to you pitch it and then be able to sign an exclusive agreement with the record label or someone else when I want to use that for my artist.
Perfect. Okay, so we're not talking exclusives here. I wouldn't, if it's an exclusive agreement, you all have to agree with it. For instance, the first mechanical license, which is the first time a song is used, an artist release, I'm not talking film and TV, an artist release like you're talking about, you all have to sign that mechanical license. That first time, you all have to agree to it. So there is no way legally around that, the first mechanical, always. Okay. So I'm talking non-exclusive licenses, meaning film, the song is in a film, in a TV show, in a game, in an advertisement. That's non-exclusive. That means that the song can be used over and over and over for different things, not being released on a record. If you want to make the agreement, and look, if you're producing these artists too, I wouldn't allow it. In other words, when I'm producing an artist, they have to agree that I can do these non-exclusive things, like pitch it for a movie, pitch it for a TV show. It promotes the artist, it's good for everybody, it's financial gain, it's good for the artist to have placements. So if they tell me, no, it can only be used for my project on my album, then I'm not even gonna write with them. But if you want to make an agreement with your artists that they cannot pitch the song, that's okay too. You know what I'm saying? You just put it in writing. All you have to do is put it in writing and how you want it to be. And if they don't agree with it, then you have the right and the opportunity to walk away and not work on the project. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I just, like, when Sarah also wanted that question, we all have to make sure that we do our business beforehand, because like 3 weeks ago, I had a practice seminar with some people, and Ben and I were there, and we were very shocked that this one writer who has like her stuff together was so not taking care of this business up front, and it was really causing her a mess. I mean, like a complete mess. Like, she wrote with this person, and then it turned out there were 2 other people who wrote on the song because he gave her a song to work on, and she didn't up front take care of any of the splits and any of this copyright business, and it was a complete mess. So you do this before you write. I know sometimes it seems ugly, like you don't want to, do this business, Claire, like, you're young, do this up front, because if you don't, it's going to come back in the back end to bite you. Because look, we all are writing songs, and we love to make music, and we kind of don't expect we're going to have something huge happen. And then sometimes something huge happens out of the blue, and surprise, and now people come out of the woodwork with things that they want because this stuff wasn't taken care of up front. And you know, I think you were also asking, Sarah, about you can come on mic if you want, Sarah, because it's sort of your question too. If you were asking about registering the songs, were you asking about that? Wait, let me unmute you here. Yeah, you know, the registration of songs with PROs, which is Lottie and I are having a big problem with registering some songs at Coda. Wow, they're messy, in Denmark. But when the person who kind of registers the song first kind of becomes God. So you have to be careful that your co-writers are nice people. Because like, Sarah, if you and I write a song, it's 50-50, right? And you go and you registered it. Are you at ASCAP?
No, I actually just switched to BMI.
Okay, cool. So at BMI, let's say you go to BMI and or CODA, or in India, the IPRS, or wherever we're going to register our song. And you decide that you decided 60-40 and give yourself 60%, you know, it's almost impossible to fix that. You have to go through all kinds of hoops with those PROs to get them to fix the registration. So it's kind of like you really want to, and I actually don't. To be honest with you, I'm kind of lax about registering the songs until they've been used and placed and cut. I'm kind of lax about it, but you really should register the song right away, because if your unfriendly co-writer takes a bigger percentage, you might get messed up.
Definitely. So I have another question kind of along that. And by the way, it's so good to see you, and thank you so much for, you know, doing this for us. I know it's been a while since you and I have worked together, but it was such a great experience, and this is really helpful. So
thank you.
Great. So with that too, just going off of what you said, you know, you're saying to, of course, get the splits beforehand in writing. Would you suggest to us, you know, kind of bringing a, you know, standard contract to the session and saying, okay, guys, you know, let's write down the splits? Or are you saying, well, it's probably better to beforehand get it in an email, that kind of thing? That was my other question.
Before anybody walks in the door, I'm going to grill them. You know, I'm going to grill them and make them agree to it in writing, be it an email, a Facebook message, just something in writing beforehand. Hi, Nikki. Beforehand, that we have established these are the laws and rules of this co-writing agreement. And I don't use a standardized agreement. There are some around. There's one company just started called COSYD, COSID or cosign. To me, they have a standard agreement, but it's kind of very legalese and unfriendly. And I kind of personally don't want to go that unfriendly about it. I just want to write the points and put them in paper and agree to it. And since I've been doing that, I have not had any problems. Before I did it, when I didn't do that in the past, I had quite a few people I had some problems with. So now it works very well in the beginning, right? So Jeff, I hope that's helpful, because everybody agrees, everybody's happy. Now we can go be creative with all that out of the way, and we don't have anything we have to deal with more on it. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. And since I have the mic on, I just had that other kind of equipment / studio question, but I can leave that till the end.
Okay, it's fine. Go for it.
Okay, great. So this is actually changing the topic, but definitely wanted to see what all of you would suggest. I am a pop and EDM singer and songwriter, and I write a lot of top lines. And so for me, what will happen is I will get a kind of music track from a DJ or a producer, and I'll say, okay, write the top line. And lately, I've been doing it basically playing the track off of my PC, and then recording the top line, the melody line, the lyrics into my iPhone and sending it that way. And as everyone knows, the quality is horrible. I shouldn't be doing that. I need to definitely invest in, you know, a proper system to do this, since now I've actually changed to doing this full time. Yay. So the question is, what does everybody use as far as a setup? And I know, you know, I'm asking about, you know, a mic, a, you know, keyboard, a, you know, a recorder, that kind of thing. But I just wanted to get a sense, what do other singer-songwriters use when they're recording a top line? What kind of like studio setup that is portable also? Because I need to take this stuff, you know, on planes or wherever. So just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, so go ahead. Go ahead.
I have kind of a note for that. I just got a new laptop, which I'm very excited about. And I like to use Logic on it. My dad actually installed it for me, and I have that, and I can just take it anywhere. This weekend, we're actually going to get a USB mic to plug in, so that allows me to record vocals with instruments because I like to play around with that kind of electronic sound too. So that's what I like to do, and I just use normally my keyboard, or we have a tiny keyboard as well that's pretty portable, so that's what it's like a Korg, I think. It's a Korg, and it's small, and it's portable like that. And I also like to use my iPad as well. But I just use GarageBand on that. That's normally where I start my ideas, and then I can most likely move it back to Logic. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great answer, Claire. And also, well, of course I use the studio, but there were days, you know, when I don't top line. I hate that term, first of all, everybody. I hate the word top line. I think it's demeaning and low class and second class citizens. So I'm going to call it the melody and the lyric. And so for people who write melodies and lyrics over tracks, when I did that, which I don't do at all anymore, I would actually use a cassette recorder, and I'd sit in the car and I'd put in the CD or whatever they gave me of the track, and I'd sing it into the cassette recorder. So, I mean, personally, anything works, but I use now sometimes Ignite. And of course, in my main studio, I use Pro Tools. I bought Harry this really cool thing that I found at the NAMM show, and it's on an iPad, and it's called, let me look, because I Googled it. It's almost like Pro Tools for an iPad, and it was $50. And it was pretty amazing. Did they tell us? Oh, it doesn't tell me here. I'm gonna have to look it up, the exact name of the program. But if you Google it, you'll find it. It was for specifically an iPad, and it looks just like Pro Tools, and you can do everything on it with a mic that you plug in to the iPad, or you can even use a mic that's built in. Like on the computer, you don't even need an external mic. It'll sound fine with GarageBand if you just because you're not making a master here. You're trying to give them, the producers, back the idea, right?
That's right.
So there are so many, but I Googled, there's one called Mixcraft, which was $89.95 in US dollars. There's LMMS, which was some kind of free program. I use Ignite. I think that was free. I don't believe I paid for it, but I plug in a keyboard to it when I'm traveling, and it has a mic, and you can record on it. GarageBand is so simple for that kind of thing too, so you can definitely use that. Claire is going a lot more high tech. So with the Logic is a little more expensive, but none of these things are desperately expensive, and they're all doable. So better than what you're doing. It'll sound much clearer, and most of those programs have EQ settings. You can give yourself some reverb, you can give yourself some echo afterwards. You can, it's amazing. But the iPad one was amazing.
Great, thank you so much. I think just a question for Claire when she was talking about the keyboard. How many keys does she have on the keyboard? Or how many keys should I maybe have on that keyboard?
My keyboard has something like the one that I travel with, maybe has 10 or 12.
Okay, great.
Nothing. What about you, Claire?
Mine has a little bit more. I don't travel with it. I normally just use the stuff on the iPad normally I use, or the keyboard typing, like the typing keys. But the one that we have in the house is a little bit bigger, about, I don't know.
One has 64, one has 88, and one has...
Yeah, mine has 88 here in the studio, but we're talking traveling or just necessary to play some chords. The one I have is smaller than a laptop.
Yeah.
Okay.
It fits in anything. And actually, when the music producers come to my studio from all over the world and they're traveling, that's what they use too. They use these mini tiny, like 12 key keyboards that are fit in their backpack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my keyboard player who comes to my studio, his whole studio fits in a half-size backpack. You know,
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's amazing what we can do right now that we don't need to be schlepping big keyboards,
Great.
big instruments, and there's mini guitars, those Taylors and the Martin minis. I have those, and they're fabulous. They're tiny, fit in a suitcase. So,
Great. Thank you so much.
yeah. So, anybody who's next for a question?
So, Michelle, I just wanted to direct you over to the chat area. There are some questions that.
Thank you, Ben. Yay. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Okay, so I'll start in order. So, Dree, you were writing, if you pay for the recording, you own the master, but what if your co-writer who didn't pay is also performing on the song? Does that change anything? That is a great question, Dree. Okay, so now, for me, unfortunately, that does not change anything because I am producing you for free.
Okay.
So you are getting my production and arranging expertise for free. So I'm not charging you anything. And the same with if for instance, if I provide services, I might play some keyboards or I might make some drums. And if I write with my co-writer, he's a guitar player, he plays guitars on what he wrote, he does not own the master and he doesn't get paid for that because that's part of his contribution, but I take it all and I am doing everything else and spending 80 hours. However, I will say to you that you can negotiate that and you can say to them, fine, you own the master, but if there's a sync fee or there's a, there's a master fee, I mean, we all get the sync fee, but there's a master fee for the recording, you can ask for, let's say, 1/4 of the master fee to go to you. If you feel that, you can try to negotiate that. Like everything is kind of negotiable in this sense.
Okay.
I don't do that because first of all, I'm the only one pitching the songs.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my situation
That's
is
kind of me.
I'm pitching everything, producing everything, spending all the time. Look, because if you don't want to sing on it, I'll go hire a singer and I'll just spend a little more money and it's okay. But why wouldn't you want to sing on your own song that hopefully it's going to promote it and you're going to get me producing it for free? So I more see it that way. But again, if you feel something else, then right, we all have to just discuss what is the situation for us and how it works.
That totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing is that cut and dry except in your own life. What you make cut and dry in the rules for you. Okay.
I have a question just about the pitching. Can you negotiate into a contract? Like, can I go with you to the pitching meeting, or is it not? Is that not?
No.
You do. Okay.
No. First of all, I don't. Rarely does anybody go to a meeting these days. Right? We're just sending the songs MP3s by Hightail or Dropbox or whatever platform we're doing to send the songs to the music supervisors, to the A&R people. It's rare. Now, when would you be going to a meeting? You as an artist would go to a meeting. You wouldn't probably go to a meeting with a music supervisor because the music supervisor is so busy. They're losing their minds with the amount of songs they have to listen to. But yeah, if you have a meeting with an A&R person, of course, you and your parents are going to go to that meeting. That's a different situation. And if, like Jeff, the artist that he works with, are teenagers also. Wait, I'm just promoting someone, putting them on screen here. So when he is ready to pitch his project to the record labels, which he wants to do, like you want to be an artist like that, or Dree, a lot of people here want to be artists, Sarah. Nikki, I guess you're an artist, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So then you go to the meeting. The artist goes to the meeting most often. I might go to the meeting, preliminary meeting first to see the A&R person, but then they want to meet you. You're the star and the focal point. So yes, so then you would go. But if it's in terms of non-exclusive pitching for films, TV, games, ads, no, because almost none of that is done in person.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm just going down the list just in the chat box here. And Mecca asked about PROs, which is a really interesting thing because we just have Linda Lawrence Critelli show up, who was at CSAC for like 28 years at the PRO. So she's our PRO aficionado here today. And a PRO is the performing rights organization. They collect the royalties. And in the United States, they only collect royalties for the performance royalties, which is radio, TV, live performances. But in most of the world, the performing rights societies collect the money for the record sales as well. And then when you have music that's making money, you have an account with them and they send you money. And in India, Mecca, I looked it up and it's called IPRS, IPRS.org. And it's the Indian Performing Rights Society. So I suggest that you contact them and read about them. On their website is very informative, all about what they're doing and their meetings that they're having. They even have a bunch of meetings coming up, and see how you can join even without maybe a song recorded and become educated and part of it. Does that make sense? And in the handout that I gave out, though it discusses more about domestic U.S. performing rights societies, it's pretty much the same all around the world, as long as the country respects intellectual property and is paying out royalties. So I hope does that make sense, Mecca? Yeah? Does that make sense? Oh, I can't hear you. Wait, we have to unmute you. Yeah?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Okay, and let's see. After that we have Nikki says, you mentioned in your spreadsheet not to pitch before having a recorded body of work. What if I've only, okay, that's a great question, Nikki. Come on the mic.
Oh, I think I'm here.
So you're asking if you only have 3 songs recorded, not a full body of work. Okay, so here's the problem with that. You want to pitch those 3 songs to, like, you're talking about film and TV and games and that kind of pitching, or are you talking about you as an artist?
Pretty much everything. I mean, I'm definitely wanting to pitch to labels as well. So, but also if I'm to get my songs placed for like TV shows or movies. So I know that's a different process, but
well, it's similar and different. It's similar, really. I mean, the problem with having only 3 songs is what happens if they love you? Now you have no catalog.
Yeah.
And you're useless to them. You know, they're going, oh my God, you're amazing. I love what you do. Send me more. We could work together. And you're like, I only have 30 songs.
Well, isn't for pitching to record labels, isn't it? I heard that like you're not really supposed to send more than 3 songs. So
Well,
you're
you wouldn't
like,
want to send more than, yeah, you don't want to send more than 3 at a time. I usually suggest the first pitch sending 1 if you don't know them. But like for music supervisors, I often get them asking me, don't send me 3 songs, send me 50 songs. I mean, you think that's bizarre, but often they want to hear 50 songs, 200 songs. They send me what you have. And the thing is, even with a record label, is if you come in with 3 songs and they think you're amazing, they're just going to send you home and say, well, when you have 5 more, just come back. And by the time you come back, they might not remember you.
Right. Is there like a minimum number? I mean, I know you said.
I think you should have at least 10 songs.
At least 10 recorded.
10 songs recorded.
Yeah.
Because you want to have more that you can give them, and then they can give you whatever advice or follow-up they want to, or they can send you into the studio and see what you really do. But on 3 songs, you might burn a bridge, is what I'm trying to say, because by the time you come back with 5 more songs, they're on to somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's really not helpful for you. So the point in your life when you're creating the music like this and making the catalog is the most fun, fabulous time. Concentrate on that before you concentrate on the pitching. This is the best time because now you get to be creative and not get rejected all day.
Right. Well, the only thing is just the budget, because, you know, I know that it's obviously really hard to make it in the music business. So, and to get a budget to record an album, you know, that's these days, usually people are recording albums by themselves. They're not expecting labels to develop them and do all that. But have you ever seen or have you ever heard of anyone that's like sent less than 10 songs that got signed because
there's exceptions to everything. I mean, I think Shawn Mendes, who's blowing up right now, had a 5-second clip of himself on Instagram singing a cover and got a record deal.
Wow.
I mean, you know, so there are exceptions to absolutely everything. So we're just talking generalizations. And wait, Linda's holding something up. What did you hold up? Oh, you can unmute yourself, Linda, but I'll do it. What did you hold up?
No, nothing. I'm sorry. I was reading something else.
Oh, okay, cool. Rockin'. Okay, awesome. I just have everybody muted so we don't have sound noise, but you know, it is possible to unmute. So again, like, you know, if you want to trip the odds and see if you can do whatever, go for it. I mean, I'd just be careful because I've seen it happen that people do that and then they're shooed away without, you know, post them on YouTube and try to get a buzz on them on Facebook and maybe do it that way rather than actually going directly to the label and saying, here's me and my songs. Might work like Shawn Mendes did, you know. Yeah, so that's the whole thing too, is there's exceptions to everything. You know, and we never know. Look, I've been hired 3 times in the hot tub where I swim laps. So who would think, right? Who would think that I'd be sitting there in the hot tub and someone would chat with me and then hire me?
Wow.
You never know.
Right.
I mean, now let's see. We have Nikki has another question. She's asking, do I have a preference between ASCAP, BMI, and why? Haha, Linda, right? So I actually have a preference to CSAC, even though at this moment CSAC has become very corporate. What?
I forgot to mention that one. Sorry.
That's fine. So these are U.S. So we also have Lottie from Denmark, who's a member of CODA. We have Megha, who could join our IPRS in the Indian Society, which you were asking, Megha, you can't join an American society until you join. You have to join the Indian Society first. But once you have a body of work, you actually can have a agreement with an American society. But I'm a member of CSAC, and I've been also a member of ASCAP and a member of BMI, and CSAC has gone through a lot of changes, which Linda can or cannot elaborate on, but in the last couple of years, they've become very corporate. They used to be a privately owned company, and now they've been bought out, and since then, they've become very, very corporate, but even so, CSAC is better. Yeah. Even so, CSAC pays better. They are more personal in their attention. They're more willing to help you. Maybe you need to register a song. For instance, my co-writer, my main co-writer is a BMI writer. And we did 3 ads last year for a nice game company. And I could not figure out how to register the songs, these ads, on the website. And at CSAC, they helped me and registered them for me. The BMI and ASCAP will never do that for you. That's not going to happen. And even worse, at BMI, they required that my co-writer turn into them my contract that I signed with the game company to create the music. However, I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. I am not allowed to share that agreement. And so because I can't share that agreement, BMI will not pay my co-writer. And he has not been paid on any of those ads, and I made a lot of money in royalties on those ads. So that's all I can say about that. BMI's, CSAC's royalty statements themselves, the American domestic statements, are the best because they list every individual play separately. So not for the radio, but for film and TV. So if at 2 p.m. today, Ghost Whisperer airs with one of my episodes, that is all that information is in one listing on the CSAC royalty statement, as opposed to at BMI and ASCAP, if in one quarter that episode of Ghost Whisperer aired 12 times, all they write is 12, the name of the episode, and they pay you. some of the multiple of times. So it's definitely not as useful to see and monitor your statements. But on the other hand, ASCAP and BMI's foreign statements are much better. They're much more detailed, and CSAC kind of, for some reason, hasn't come to the plate with detailing their foreign statements. So it's a little difficult in the foreign. It'll just say the song title and television, or the song title and radio, and it doesn't tell you the song title and what project it was in. So if you have the same, like I have some songs that have been in 40 different projects, so I never know which one it was that they paid on. So I really wish they would get better at that, but across the board, I still am a CSAC. Now, if you're a composer, a film composer, ASCAP is really good.
Okay.
But if you're a songwriter at ASCAP, it's a mess because they pay the vocals the same amount as the score, as background music, instrumental music, and that's 10 times less. So if I were a songwriter at ASCAP right now, which I was for 1 year, and lost a lot of money, I would be working at McDonald's right now. If I was there getting paid that way for my vocal music.
Right. If Michelle, can I ask you real quick, if I am a member right now of ASCAP as a songwriter, can I easily switch over or register to CSAC? How does that process work if you're already part of one PRO?
That's not easy. That is a rough way. They do not want to let you out, those PROs. So you have to find your out date. And then you can ask them or look on your original contract if you have it. I have all that stuff. I keep all that stuff. So you want to keep your contract or find out if your out date is, let's say, December 30th. And you join. So it's the ASCAP contracts are a little easier because they renew once every year. So you have a chance every year to change. You have to send them a certified letter. Like it's usually within 30 days before the out date and not exceeding this and that. You have to find out. Yes, Linda, just unmute yourself. No, I'll do it. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, here, I'll clarify that for you. So, you know, at ASCAP, first of all, you can go log into your account at ASCAP, and there's a little search area there. Just search for resignation or termination.
Okay.
And they now supply this information on their website because they have 600,000 members, and they would just need like 3 people full-time just to answer those questions. When is my out date? They now supply it on their website.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so you have to log in, and you may have a different termination date from your songwriter agreement and your publisher agreement. But ASCAP is once a year, and you have to supply the letter certified mail 90 days.
90, thank you.
Okay.
So it could be with any time within a year period. BMI is a 2-year agreement, and the same rules apply. It's that 90 days.
BMI's publisher is 5 years.
Okay.
And the BMI publisher is 5 years, and CSAC is 3 years. But I will tell you, with all the changes that are going on at CSAC, they become highly, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say competitive, but very difficult to get into.
Okay.
They're not signing anybody unless you've got a body of work that you're bringing over. So just don't.
Which is how it originally was, right? But then it changed.
And that's how it was originally, and then they opened up the, you know, they opened up the membership, and now it's closed again. So just to let you know, I don't want you to get your hopes up without first meeting with somebody at CSAC. Where do you live, young lady?
In LA.
Oh, you're in LA. Well, then try to meet with somebody in the LA office.
Okay.
Or at least call them to see if it's even a possibility.
Okay.
Thanks.
Maybe I can get a
Great.
reference from you, Michelle, for a contact over at CSAC.
Sure, I'll give you that
Great.
if you write me after. So Linda, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just so you know, even BMI is okay.
Okay.
But for me, unfortunately, ASCAP for songwriters is a mess.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to say that, but I was there a year and I lost a fortune of money. and how to get out quickly. They also have this weird weighting problem where every quarter the weight of the performances change, and they calculate it, and they pay the radio on a sample still rather than on the 24/7 playlists, and they, when you have a song in a movie or a television show, they also weight, WEIGHT, weight each performance, so that if you have the theme song of a show and the closing theme of the show, they pay them as one. They only pay them once. And then if the song is in the show like 7 times as the bumpers and maybe a special song of the show, and every time you see a character, they play it, they pay that one payment. No, not one payment. Sorry, yeah, that one payment. So the bumpers, the opening theme, closing theme are one payment. And then if, let's say you have a song that's just in a dance scene, and every time they cut back to the dance scene, they're playing that song, they pay subsequent use at 10% of the 100% payment. So if the original payment were $100, then the other 6 performances are going to be $10. And I only found that out because I was there. Right. And had a heart attack because I was working on a network soap, and sometimes I'd lose thousands a day with them doing that. So, yeah.
One small last little question in regard to ASCAP. I haven't actually registered any songs with them yet. I know this is silly, but years ago when I first was getting into like the business, people were like, you have to sign up for a PRO. And I was like, I heard ASCAP. That was the first one that I heard of. So I signed up for it, but I never actually registered any songs. So does that affect me switching over to a different?
No.
It doesn't. It's still the same.
No, but let me tell you, it's better for you not to have done that. But just keep this in mind. You're not going to receive a penny unless you register Works.
Right.
So when you do finally settle where you're going to stay for a minute, make sure you do register all your songs and register your live performances and stay on top of it now more than ever. And there's all sorts of online tools. Like we all have online live performance reports that you can submit as a songwriter. You know, ASCAP and BMI also have those. CSAC has a very good one, actually.
Okay. Yeah, because ASCAP and BMI don't pay very well for those live performances.
They don't. It's pennies. But it's worth it, though, to just start establishing yourself and get used to managing your catalog.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Exactly. And that's, Linda, why we're all here. Because we're all here to learn to manage our catalog, to read our royalty statements, read our licenses. Don't let our people do that for us, because that's where we fall into a mess. If we have publishers, and we, no offense, Lottie, if we have publishers and we have managers and business managers, we have to know how to police them because they're not doing a great job.
No, and Michelle, I will tell you, because Michelle was a CSAC writer and we worked together. She's a master at this. She's very good. She's very different. She's very unique, I will say. And unfortunately, not enough musicians take the business role as seriously as Michelle has. And she's been very successful. And that is really how she's been able to sustain herself and make a very good living for herself, is because she looks after her works. So many creative people, they write their music and then they sort of just think, oh, it's all set, it's at ASCAP, I'm okay. You're not okay. You need to learn how to manage it. And I've learned so much from Michelle just watching the difference that she makes in her quarterly statements by catching all the performances, by taking it upon herself to really manage her performances and to know where her works are being performed, where they've been placed, following up, keeping records. It makes a difference.
Thank you so much, and Linda. Yes, exactly. So that's why knowledge is power, and we're all here, hopefully, to learn how to do these things, because that is why I make enough money. Because I find the errors. If I didn't find the errors, I would not make enough money, because I'd be short all this money that I find, and from the PROs, from the record labels, from publishers, past publishers, from sync fees that aren't paid. It's endless. It's endless. From cue sheets not being filed. From So, Dree, what were you going to say?
Just about finding errors, because I remember before you talked about TuneSat. Is that a good platform for you to find those errors? I mean, how can you kind of chase things? Because I have a cut overseas and I honestly have like no way to enforce
Is
that.
it a record cut, a radio cut?
It was a song released on an album for kind of like a mid-level DJ artist, and I don't know if it wasn't released as a single, so I don't know, you know, how popular it got. Probably didn't get very popular, but just, you know, there was nothing at all. Like,
okay, so that's a good question. So that TuneSat will not help with. We'll go to TuneSat after. So TuneSat will not help with that. This is a problem because you don't. What territory is this song released in?
like Poland.
Okay, great. So now what happens is in Poland, if it's not the single and it's not being played on the radio, that becomes a mechanical issue and you need a sub-publisher. You cannot collect the mechanicals, which are record sales, if you do not have a sub-publisher local to the territory where the record is released. Does that make sense? So you need to contact Warner Chappell in Poland, Sony in Poland, BMG in Poland, and there are local publishers as well. Look them up on the internet, music publishers in Poland, and you need to find someone who's going to publish that song. So usually for a piece like 15%, 20%, 25% if they're greedy, they're going to collect this money for you. And then they're going to take their piece and send you the money directly. And actually, they're going to do it to your publishing company because they won't do it to you, Dree Patterson.
Right.
Send it to your publishing company. And you have to do that. You cannot collect foreign mechanical royalties without having a sub-publisher.
So that particular song was represented by Head Rock Music Publishing, which was, that was, I guess, the small publisher that I was working with. And so I asked them about it, and they said that since it wasn't on the radio, there's just no money.
Oh, they're absolutely right, because how much did it sell? It probably didn't sell very much, and so it's, you know, pennies.
So
that's the problem.
There's just nothing to chase in that case.
No, not worth it, because, you know, unless it was at least on a big record that sold 100,000 copies and some big star in Poland, there's really no money. Like, so he's completely right. So, you know, he'd be sending you 5 cents.
Okay.
The royalty rates are so small, and so basically it's a good calling card. It's a nice thing for you to have to show off your work and put on your website, and then it's a legit thing. But, you know, financially, this is the problem with the money. Now, if you have the song registered with your PRO and there were by chance any uses of it on the radio or on TV, then the money would go to your PRO and you also might see 2 cents. I mean, these days on my royalty statements, I see things in micro pennies. You know, that I never used to see a year ago, all of a sudden. And so, you know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You're talking about PROs. Can you explain how Sound Exchange has really moved into that micro penny?
Now, Sound Exchange is an awesome place. It's fabulous. You can make a lot of money as an artist from Sound Exchange. You're not going to make any money from the writing publishing at Sound Exchange. They don't pay that because the PROs, ASCAP, BMI, CSEC, and then CODA and all the foreign societies pay that. But Sound Exchange pays the artists. And I have friends who make a lot of money on Sound Exchange. I mean, a lot, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on Sound Exchange. So if you release an album, all of you artists out there, you should definitely register it with Sound Exchange and the individual songs with Sound Exchange and see if they collect money for you. Now, Sound Exchange is a place where I collect no money because I'm a songwriter and a music publisher, a music producer, and they don't pay that. So that's not somewhere for someone like me that's going to make money. But for the artists out there, yes, it's fantastic. Even for indie artists, if they're actually selling some music, they're going to make some money. So is that helpful?
Absolutely. So I could basically go to HFA, grab a whole bunch of licenses, create a whole bunch of covers, put them out there, and you would get paid for them, basically.
Well, yeah, basically you would get paid for them. Yeah.
As an artist, you would get paid if they get performed. Keep in mind that Sound Exchange is for digital music, so it's only for performances on like XM radio.
Right. Thank you, Linda. Exactly.
Or the internet.
Yeah. Right.
Or internet online streaming services. It's not for regular radio.
Exactly.
But let's say if you did a big YouTube cover and it was very popular, Sound Exchange is your friend.
Yes, and you also want to register the song for YouTube for the video plays, and that you would do. I use AdRev. I don't use Harry Fox myself because Harry Fox doesn't pay. They don't pay. What was it? They didn't pay. I have to look in my notes. I think it's the master owner. They paying the so they're paying the writer publisher share of the, but they're not paying for some reason the master owner share of the royalties. So I use AdRev.
You basically
AdRev, A-D-R-E-V, to collect my YouTube royalties. And even though the royalties on YouTube are such a mess these days, because the percentage that goes to the master owner is so much more than the writer publisher, I still make substantial money from YouTube. So at least register the songs. But again, I would use Sound Exchange. I would use AdRev before I went to Harry Fox. Sorry, CSAC. Yeah, I hope that's helpful. Let me just look here to see if there's some questions in the chat.
Michelle?
Yes.
Staying with the POR theme just for a second.
Sure.
This fourth PRO, the GMR.
Yes.
Why would anyone want to migrate from where they are into the global scene?
That's a great question. Okay, look, GMR is a new performing rights society here in the United States. Basically, they have no network in place to collect the royalties. So they're kind of going by a wing and a prayer, and I've asked some writers who have signed there why and what they do, and they're basically taking the statements from ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, where these people are coming from, because they're earners. They're not going to sign a writer that's doing nothing, and they're seeing, okay, this writer's averaged for the last 5 years 100,000, so we're going to give him a flat rate. And that's pretty much what they told me they've been doing, is flat rating them the amount, guaranteeing them a certain amount. The advantage to that is they don't have to monitor anything like I do, but I would hate that because I need to monitor and find my money. I don't want to be missing $10,000, you know, or $2,000. I want my money. But these people that don't want to, now they agree maybe for 5 years they'll get 100,000 a year, and they'll just deal with it and do it. I know some composers on some soaps who have done it, and I hope that's helpful. But really, they have no way to collect the royalties specifically. They don't have those agreements or networks in place with the radio stations, with the TV networks. They haven't put it together yet, and maybe they will. But I think it's going to be very difficult for them. Linda, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think that GMR also is, you know, it's a very specific company, and it's not available to everybody. You have to keep that in mind too. They too also have a very closed door, and they're only signing deals with major artists, writers, and they're offering them huge sums of money. And their hope is that they will go out and be able to take a big chunk of the licensing fees. And that has yet to be seen right now, because they're going to have to take a chunk out of ASCAP or BMI or CSAC's piece of the pie, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. My speculation, as someone who's been in the PRO world for a long time, is that they will eventually merge with somebody and get bought out. That's just my speculation.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Linda, because I think they'll have no other way, because I think eventually they're going to get to a point where they can't develop this network, and they're going to have no choice. And then they'll have some valuable assets.
No live performances, no what they call general licensing. Mm-hmm. General licensing is live performances or collecting royalties from like venues,
bowling alleys, bars, yeah,
bowling alleys, what have you. But that represents about 30% of the income of PROs that they are not collecting. But right now, they don't seem to care. You know,
yeah, they don't seem to care is the interesting thing, right? They don't seem to care. They seem to be kind of hyping themselves and moving along. So, right, I agree. But that was a good question, actually. Really good. Let's see. Sheldon was asking, I've had artists ask me about licensing. Is this something best pitched in person, or do sites like Hit license work as well? Well, Sheldon, do you mean licensing like pitching songs to movies and TV and games and ads and getting the songs placed? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, no, like we were just, well, that's a good question and a big question. And I believe in pitching directly. I don't think that those things work. However, I will say that if you put your eggs in many, many, many baskets, you might get a little crack sometimes.
Well,
So there's
that's what I was
nothing
curious
wrong.
about, because Hit License, they charge $5 per
Right.
I believe it's $5 per pitch.
Well, I can only tell you that I have not used Hit License, but I did use a couple of other things just as an experiment once, like things like Broad Jam and Taxi, and I don't think they work. I am totally against paying to pitch. However, I'm totally into non-exclusive licensing to pitch to companies that pitch for free. So basically, they get a share. Usually, they get all the publishing, and you get the writer's share. Or sometimes they do a better split, but not so often. And I'm happy with those. I have lots of those libraries. And every so often, something gets placed, and it's like found money, and it's all happy, and it's non-exclusive, and I'm totally into that. But anytime somebody has to pay like that to Music Gorilla, I think you have to pay, and all of those, I don't see them working, and I see writers spending a lot of money on false hope. And Ben and I were involved in one where we were trying to help the owner, and his platform is really so bad that he had people providing pitches that weren't even able really to pitch and place the songs, and they were being paid, because when you pitch to something like Hit License gets a fee, and the person who's providing the ad for what they're looking for is getting a piece of it. But there's really no way that person can license the song. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. How would you recommend doing it?
Again, there's a lot of libraries out there that you can put your songs in. If you get the Rich Ezra's film and TV guide, there are put out by the Music Business Registry. There's a whole list of libraries in there, and you can contact them or read about them and see how they work. And there's so many of them that you can just upload your songs to them. And if they like the songs, they'll accept them into their catalog, non-exclusively, meaning you can have them in 8,000 other catalogs and pitch them yourself, and they'll pitch them for you. I myself am a firm believer in pitching them myself. So I have a network of music supervisors and A&R people that I expand all the time, and I'm constantly looking for what they're looking for. It's beyond time consuming. But I believe your people should pitch the songs directly.
Rich Estridge, is that what you said?
Yeah, Rich, R-I-T-C-H, last name Ezra, E-Z-R-A, and his company is called the Music Business Registry, and he puts out once a year a film and TV guide that lists almost all the music supervisors and their emails and addresses, and music libraries and game and ad companies and publishers, and it's a brilliant thing as a tool for pitching your songs. And I believe that the artist should be also using things like, I use not TV Guide, I'm sorry, I use IMDb, the International Movie Database, IMDb, and I use the pro version. It's much better. It's like $150 a year. All these things are like $150 a year. Actually, I think
the reason why I ask is because the person I'm talking about is an artist from back into the 60s, late 60s, and he does not use the internet whatsoever. And so I've been trying to get it out there for him.
They have he can get it in book form. They list that film and TV guide comes in a paper book. He can get it in that. The fact that he does not use the internet is a complete disadvantage for him. He's going to have a very difficult time pitching his music because everything is internet related. And I suggest he get himself a little assistant. Like my dad used to call his assistant his clicker, and she would sit there next to him, and my dad would say, click here, click here, click here, and someone to help him, because he's not going to have success without the computer anymore. It's just become everything.
Well, that's what I've been trying to do, and that's why I mentioned, the Hit License thing, because that was the first thing that was recommended to me. But like I said, it's $5 a song to to do it, and I was just curious about it. It's like pay to play, you know.
Yeah, I don't believe in it. Now, of course, it's only $5 you could say, but let's say he's pitching 50 of them, and then next week he pitches, there's 70 things he's interested in, and, it starts adding up. So, but if he has an unlimited supply of cash and he doesn't care,
Well, which he does.
Yeah, so then no, but he needs to learn how to use the computer or get someone, an assistant who can do it. Because all the songs I pitch are by computer. Nobody wants a CD anymore except in Nashville, Tennessee, where when you're doing country music, for some reason those A&R people like CDs. I really don't understand why they want them, but they want them. But other than that, nobody wants a CD. I mean, it's just cumbersome and heavy, and where are they going to put them? And so,
Michelle, can I interject real quick and ask you a quick question about CDs?
Yeah.
Because when I go out in public, how do you recommend, like,
oh, you froze up, Nikki. Are you there?
Because I feel like you never know. But
re-say that because you froze up for a second.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, I was saying, like, how do you recommend, so if you meet somebody in public, let's say somebody that's like a famous artist or an A&R person and they're busy and you want them to hear your music, do you think that having a physical CD on you at the time is an advantage? Or because what are the chances that that person, if you send them a link to your SoundCloud, I mean, I don't know, or...
Great question. Okay, I think the CD is useless.
Okay.
Nobody wants to carry CDs around. It's your responsibility to follow up with them. If you meet someone, it's your responsibility the minute you get home to write them, remind them that they met you, and send them some music electronically. If they
meet someone in person, try to get their email or something to where I can send them online.
Exactly.
Okay. Versus
and even if you don't get it, go Google them. Probably you'll find it. You'll find them on Facebook. You'll find them on LinkedIn. You got to do good research. Nobody wants CDs. Nobody wants business cards either. Who wants to carry that stuff around? I don't want your business card if I meet you. I want you to contact me. I'm not going to contact you. Right?
Yeah.
You have to show the initiative. You want them. They have a million of you.
Right.
And that actually goes back to why I started doing this, because now we all go to these big events, right? And we stand online and we wait to talk to someone like Linda for 2 hours. We talk to Linda and then we never follow up with Linda, right? What is that? So we have to be more proactive, and that's why I have had some success also, is I follow up on these things. I mean, I'm not going to let that opportunity go by. That's crazy.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Okay, so just apropos what you just said. So I just went to Durango. If you guys don't know, Durango Songwriters Expo, it's a bi-yearly songwriting convention, and you can play your songs, your demos, even your voice memos, if that's all you have, for people in the industry, and they'll give you feedback. Every now and then someone does get signed to a publishing deal or something, but it's not necessarily the goal. It's more kind of to meet the people and get the feedback for the songs. So I'm over there and I play them a demo of this particular song, and I'm playing for an A&R, like basically 2 A&R guys. And they like the song, and it's a demo. And so the suggestions and the revisions they gave me were pretty minimal. And they were like, yeah, of course, beef up the production. We want to see it fleshed out into a full song. So what I did, because I was a little bit afraid, so I kind of, waited. And then I happened to run into one of the guys in the hallway. And it was just like the perfect minute. And I just said, hey, thanks so much for your great comments earlier. And, and he was super nice. And I was like, may I have your email? And may I send you the song when it's finished? Amazing. So he was super nice. He gave me his email and he was like, yeah, send me anything. So I took that as a very positive experience for this particular song and kind of opening the door for this relationship. Now I'm just like at a complete loss, because of course I want to get the song done and I want to send it to him. And I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know, should I send him something right away that says, like, it was nice to meet you kind of thing without any music? So,
Yes, you should
forget about me.
yeah, you should follow up with him and tell him it was nice to meet him, and thanks for all his interaction. And as soon as you have that song finished, you'll send it to him.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Okay.
you want to do that because he's not going to remember you by the time you finish the song, but you want to finish it up.
Right.
Like, if you have an opportunity, see, now that's another problem is we don't come to the plate. We don't show up.
Right.
You
Right.
have to show up, because if you don't, he's not going to remember you. You can't take too long. So, you know,
Right.
that's all, if you think he's an opportunity. And of course, we also don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. So just
Right.
because somebody is being responsive doesn't mean they'll even follow up if you follow up. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, so, but, you know, you have to at least be the one who does the right thing and contacts them and says, you know,
because this is the thing. I went to Durango in February as well, and I had a different song. And this song wasn't even in demo production. It was in pre-production. I actually played the song live for 2 panels. And I had the same reaction from one of the panels. And they were like, yeah, you know, we love the song and we want to hear it done and send it to me when it's done. And I've been bothering my co-writers forever to like get it to, you know, let's get this done and get this recorded. And it's like, I can't really get them to budge. And I went ahead and just self-funded a demo to get it moving, but I didn't really love how it turned out. And so I'm still kind of in this place, and that was back in February. And it's so frustrating for me because I just want to record it, and we're trying to possibly pitch it to someone else. So that's the thing.
Well, you do the right thing. All you can do is record it yourself. That's what I do if my co-writers don't. Well, mostly I'm recording them myself anyway, but I have a few with my friend Lydia here where I can't get her writers to finish the songs, and that's okay. I'm going to go do it.
Okay.
So you have to do it, and if you don't like the way it comes out, then unfortunately you have to do it again.
Yeah.
And does it cost more money? Yes, unfortunately it does, but that's the deal. I mean, there's many times where I have hired 3 singers for the same song because none of them worked, and it's blah, blah, blah. And, you know, we all have that. So, but you should try to put that one first as a priority, those 2, and try to get them to where you like them.
Yeah.
And everybody just take 5 seconds because somebody couldn't get in the meeting and I want to try to help them. So just 1 sec.
Sure.
I'm so sorry. Because there are so many people who registered who aren't here.
By the way, I've been to Durango a bunch of times, and I think it's great that you go.
It's awesome. I mean, it's great to have the good feedback, you know, and just because I don't want to invest all the money to make a full production if there's going to be a lot of, you know, revisions to be made. Is that
you know what? Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's really good to get feedback. But you know what? Try to get some feedback going into it rather than using that opportunity to get feedback on the demo version. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that could be an opportunity. Although it's, you know, 1 out of 100, but it's an opportunity. If you do have a final project, if you're in the room with someone that is a music supervisor, they might pick it up. I've seen it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going there and asking them, what do you think? Should I change the bridge? Because they're all just going to be like, yeah, change the bridge, whatever.
Yeah.
Who's got the final product? I mean, I would really focus on trying to get the best stuff there for Durango and take advantage of all the industry people who are there.
I agree with you. I just I had brought finished products also to the February one, and I was like, yeah, these are gonna get picked up and everything. And then there was a film TV guy, and he was like, well, you know, it's good, but you got to make it more. You got to make it better.
You got to just keep trying. You got listen. That's one set of ears. You never know. You might just keep trying. If this is your passion, this is what you love to do, and you're good at it, obviously, and you're being very serious about it. You're going to Durango. You're on this thing right here with Michelle. I mean, you're serious about it. Just keep at it. Something is going to happen.
Well, exactly. I
Thank
so
you.
agree with you, Linda. And you know, everybody has an opinion, Dree. We have to just do what's right for us. We have to make the songs so that we believe they're great. I don't change things for people. I only change things if they're going to pay me. If they tell me I'm going to cut this song, but I want you to fix this, okay. If they tell me I'm going to put this in the movie, but can you just fix this? Here's how much I'm going to pay you. Okay. But other than that, no, because, you know, that's crazy. You send this, I send out thousands and thousands of pitches. I cannot tell you how much I pitch songs. And some people love something and some person hates it. And that's just, it's all subjective. So we have to make, you know, what isn't subjective? The things that aren't subjective are, is your music in time? Do you have a time signature? Are the instruments tuned? Are the vocals in tune? I mean, these things are not subjective. They are what they are. Yes, you have to have that done. And you need to have a professional recording. And if one doesn't know what that is, one should get some advice on that. Just if it's professional sounding, not do they like it, do they like the bridge, but, you know, are the drums in time? Do they have real drums? Do you have full instrumentation? Okay, but whether they like the song, the melody, the lyric, the artist is so subjective. And, you know, I've had people tell me a song sucks and nobody's going to cut it. And then I've had the A&R guy in the next office cut it. I mean, you know, so we can't get, like Linda's saying, you know, we can't get bogged down on that. We have to just keep moving forward. Everybody has different taste. So I hope that's helpful, because you know what I mean? I think if not, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Michelle, I do have one question. When you're sending these electronic files out, what do you do with the ID3 tags? What do you usually fill up as far as making sure that when somebody receives this electronic message, they understand who it is, what it is, et cetera, et cetera?
Do you mean the metadata?
Yeah, the metadata.
Okay, so the metadata is important. The metadata is so important. If not, you know, you're going to hear back from that music supervisor, but all they're going to do is scream at you. It's like an excuse for them to get angry. So the metadata is in the iTunes. Do you know where it is?
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So you all use iTunes?
Yes.
Okay. So in the iTunes, in one of the flags, like it says, it's like in view, or on the top, there's like, you know, bunches of little pull down menus. It says get info, and you click on get info and you fill it out. So you have to fill out the song title, the name of the album, just make it up if it's your name, put, you know, Nikki songs for the album. And then you need to put in, it says the composers, so you put in who the writers are and their performing rights affiliations, whether you're PMI or Kodo or IPRS or wherever you are. And you put that in there, and then it actually says, let me just look for 1 second, because it doesn't give you the publishers. It says something else under publishers. I always forget what it says, but that's where you should put the publishing information. Just 1 sec. Okay, so it's under edit. Under edit, it tells you get info, and then it says grouping. Yeah, for some reason there's no publisher's place, so it says grouping, and in the box that says grouping, you want to put the publishing information. Okay, and then there's a box that says comments, and in that comment box you want to put what the song is, like female vocal, R&B pop, inspiring and empowering and energetic, or whatever it is. You want to put that in there, and you want to put your contact information in that box. That is really, really important, because if you give them more contact information and they like the song, they can never find you again. So by your contact information, your whatever you want, your email address, your phone number, your name, whatever you want to put in there, but just put it in there. And you want, every song needs to be tagged with this. It's called metadata. And if you don't tag these songs, you will get nasty, angry notes. Even if they don't like it or are not interested in you at all, they're going to write you. It gives them an opportunity to get angry. So we want to make it easy and do everything correct for everybody we're pitching to, because they're very busy and they have thousands of songs to listen to. Imagine if you had thousands of songs to listen to. And so you want to make sure that all these songs are tagged. Does that make sense?
Makes a ton of sense. Also, what file sizes? Like 7 meg, you can go all the way up. Great
question. Under 5 meg. You don't want to send them a big MP3, because they're going to yell at you for that too. It's going to clog up their box and they're not going to be happy. So under 5 megs, and you also, even if you think it sounds terrible and the sound quality, and we can argue about that for days, but that's just how it is. And you also want to make sure that the, What was I just going to tell you? Oh, that you don't send loose MP3s unless they ask for them. Send it by a link service. And if you have more than one song, make sure you zip them together so that they're not separate MP3s. The most people don't like that. I have a few people I pitch to who want MP3s for some reason, loose MP3s. And Sony Music is a place where you have to send loose MP3s because they have such a heavy firewall that they can't get links. Like you send it in Hightail and Dropbox and all that. For some reason, they're not allowed. So you have to send them loose MP3s. But most people don't want them. They want links.
So file, we transfer, and if they request something different, then we can provide it.
Yes, whatever they request. For instance, if you say, I like Hightail, and they say they want Dropbox, don't send them Hightail. Send them Dropbox. Even if it's a pain for you and inconvenient, because that's what they want, and they get what they want. So hopefully that makes sense.
Michelle, can I ask you another question about metadata real quick before we switch the subject? So I'm in iTunes right now. I believe my iTunes is updated, but I went to my the get info column was underneath file, and I went to, not edit, it was under file. I clicked on that, and then
mine is under edit, so that's interesting that yours is under file. But
and also mine is different. The options that are up here are different than the ones you said. Mine says when I click on a song, it says details, artwork, lyrics, options, sorting, file, and then you can add a field. But oh, never mind. I think it's under a certain. I think I found what you're talking about now.
Okay, yeah, none of that would apply to this. Yeah. So you found it?
Yeah, but what do you mean by that? None of it would apply.
Because you don't need artwork and all of that. That's not about
all that. It's just the basic, the song name, the artist name, the year, composer, genre, all that, right?
I don't put the year because maybe somebody wants something from 2016 and you wrote it in 2015.
Oh, okay.
So I don't tell them the year.
Okay.
But the genre I do. Yeah, the artist name. The artist name is the person who sang it. So you want to put that.
Okay.
And yeah, all those things you want to put in the grouping box, the publisher's information.
Can I mention something about metadata, please?
Sure.
Being an internet radio DJ, I get a lot of CDs and a lot of submissions for my shows, and it is such a pain in the butt if the metadata is not on there, because then I have to go off of the CD cover or whatever and install it myself. You know, and this is one of the things that I have a problem with, and I think if you're going to submit your music to anybody, make sure that the metadata is on there, and so that we know that, you know, what the song is, who did the song, how long the song is as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, I don't put how long the song is. I rarely get asked for that, but I can see how you would need to know that, Sheldon.
Right.
So that's a good point that you made. Perhaps if you're pitching to anybody, just put that in there. Just leave off the date. You know, you just don't want to put in dates, how old someone is, things of that nature. But yeah, so thanks, Sheldon. That's really good. Let's see, Thornton, you had a question here. How important is it to have your song arranged by an independent pop arranger before you demo it? Where would I find an experienced commercial arranger? Diane Warren once shared that she always arranged her songs. She always arranged her songs before she demoed them. She said it was the difference that propelled it to become a commercial hit. What are your thoughts? Okay, first of all, I'm very close to the person who used to arrange Diane's songs. And that is not true. That I think you might have misunderstood Thornton. I've been in the studio where her songs were, hundreds of her songs were produced and arranged, and they were done from scratch, just like any of us do. They're not pre-thought out. The only thing like pre-thought out is, I think, do I want it to sound like this really cool song I just heard 2 days ago by Sia? You know, is that an inspiration to me? I might think of that, but I'm not pre-arranging them, like notating the songs out the old-fashioned way and writing charts for the guitar player and writing charts for the violin player. I mean, they're showing up and we're all winging it together, and I have a thought and I might play them a sample of something I like, and then they go and improvise, and then I go, yeah, I like that, or then I sing them, can you play instead of nah? You know, I mean, we're all winging it together. Does that make sense? Wait, you're muted. Sorry, Thornton. One sec.
LASS a long time ago, and I may have misunderstood her. But
Yeah,
at the time she said she wrote her tunes on her keyboard, and she said at the time that she wasn't that proficient on a keyboard, but she did say that she had somebody help her. I thought I understood her say to help her arrange and produce it a certain way.
Yeah, that's
so
the
that
person I'm talking about. The person is very close to me, and I spent hours in the studio with that person. So yes, but they didn't do it beforehand. It didn't do pre-production. They go in the studio and they start recording. They go, today I'm going to demo Love Will Lead You Back, and then they start. And
okay, but I mean, don't you have some concept of what it would
that's
be like in your mind as far as what it would be like as far as production?
Yeah, I just said that. I like to see a song I heard 2 days ago, and I want to use that as the model for my production. Yeah, of course.
That's great.
Yeah, but again, I don't sit there and stress for 10 days writing out this part is going to be this part is going to be that, and the guitar player is going to play. That's usually not what happens.
So you found a model song, an example. You find an example of a song that would be similar to what you'd like it to be.
Yeah, often I do that. Yeah, because it's helpful for the musicians that I use when they come, that I can play them some thoughts. And in the end, it's going to become what it's supposed to be, which is itself, its own production, its own arrangement. But it's nice to have thoughts about what it is, and especially if you're an artist or a writer who is sending songs out. Like, I produce my own music, but I know a lot of writers who don't. Like, many people here, Ben produces his own music, but some people may not, and so they're hiring other people to do it, and so they need to have some samples to give that other person so they have an idea of what the vibe is supposed to be, or else they're just shooting from nowhere. Like, if a song can be, a piano vocal can become anything. So I send you a piano vocal, ask you to arrange it, and you send me back a country song, and I really wanted it to be an EDM pop dance song, right? So that usually doesn't work.
So you don't necessarily stylize. You don't necessarily stylize your demos, because some of the producers I pitched to said, "Don't send me it stylized, but send it more like
stylized."
Stylized meaning you could, like, see if you did a piano demo, vocal demo, it wouldn't sound like jazz or pop or country. It would be more vanilla or generic, not generic, but more so that it could cross different charts.
No, definitely not. I mean, the song you have to make a decision. You can't really make a production that sounds like, that sounds like EDM and then consider it a country song.
So you're saying a great song, if it's a piano vocal demo, you have to make your choice of either pop.
Yes, you have to make a choice. So again, you can make 3 demos of the same song if you hear it in different genres, and you can demo them any way you want. But you really need to make some sort of decision for what you're going to do. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. And but in Nashville, as you know, a lot of times the productions happen there on the spot with the players, and so it's all agreed upon. But is that a little different than
projections? Like, we're going to pitch this for Carrie Underwood?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course we do that too in pop music, and I did that writing country music, and of course, yeah. And then you produce the song accordingly. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, but every writer, every artist wants something fresh, so you have to be careful that you don't make it like what was already done, because they don't want to do what they already did. I mean, if they want it to be in their genre, but they want it to be cool and have fresh stuff in it, which is, of course, that's the trick, is to make the recordings sound fresh and amazing so that somebody wants to record them. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes, what I meant by stylized, I think, is trying not to choose a demo singer that sounds like somebody else too much, because then I always send it to them and people keep saying, well, that sounds like so-and-so artist. And
that's a catch-22. That's a tricky thing. You know, I've had both situations where the artist that I hire, they might tell me it sounds too similar, or they might love it because it sounds just like them, and then they'll get it. So it's worked for me in both ways. Like, I once had an artist who knew who the demo singer was, like, because it sounded like them, and they said, you used so-and-so, didn't you? You know, I mean, and they liked that. So that's the catch-22. You gotta, you never know about that, how close you should get. So I tend to choose singers that I think are great for the song and make the song shine, and hope that someone can relate to it for themselves. Yeah, but it's a good question because, you know, it works both ways. You never know. Let me just see. We have more. Can Americans join a foreign PRO as well as our national PRO?
I need to interject. I have to go. I have to prepare for a show. Michelle,
Sure, Sheldon, thank you for coming.
Fantastic. And if you would like to give my info to any of these artists for them to send me music for airplay, that's fine. Okay.
Great. So everybody write me afterwards if you'd like to submit music to Sheldon's show. It's a really great show, and I'll connect you. It's called Soul Jams. Thanks for coming, Sheldon.
Right. Thank you very much. This has been absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Sheldon. That's rocking. And Ruby has just arrived. So one sec, let me bring her on here, and she can come join us. And let's see. So now we have a question. It's better if you guys ask the questions live, but I'm going to at least try to address these here in the chat. Can Americans join a foreign PRO as well as our national PRO? Yes and no. They can. For instance, let's say I'm a member of CSAC and I have a big hit in Germany, and I'm hoping that I can get my money faster if I join GEMA to represent that song. I can do that as long as I have a bank account in Germany and an address, an actual legal address in Germany. Maybe I split my time there, or I form some kind of company there. I can do that, and that will, instead of waiting 2 or 3 years, I might get my money in a year. So, but you really wouldn't want to do that unless you're doing a massive amount of work in another country. It gets very confusing and everything gets weird, and you really don't want to do that. So, but yes, it is possible. It is possible. Let's see, and then Mecca said, are EPs better than a whole album? I see a lot of artists coming out with EPs now. Okay, that's a good question. So yeah, the EPs are fine. I mean, an EP, you might have 5 or 6 songs. It's an interesting thing, the difference between an artist and being a writer like I am. If you're a writer like I am, like Lottie is also, you know, we're pitching songs and we're writing songs for other artists and other producers and not for ourselves. And we need to have a big body of work. We need to have 100 songs, 200 songs. We need to have tons. I have thousands of songs. We need to have songs. Like, we need to have product to be able to be useful to the people that we're pitching to. If you're an artist and you have an EP, an actual EP properly made, or electronic, and whether you press some, that's fine too. Yeah, if you, I would say 6 songs, yeah, you can pitch that. Now, it's a really good question because, like, for instance, Nikki, who is asking about that, I don't know if Nikki's still here, but, oh, she is. Okay, great. So if like I have a friend, let me use an example. I have a friend who's an artist, and every couple of years she puts out a 10-song CD. She doesn't put out an EP, but similar thing. She puts out an actual CD with cover art, and she has it electronic. She has some she presses. She's pitching that one body of 10 songs to 800 people, and she's getting 800 placements. Me, I'm pitching 800 songs to 800 people to get the placement. So it's not as efficient. It's like you really have an advantage in a sense if you're an artist and you make a proper EP or CD that's all correctly done. So can an EP work? Yes. I mean, you know, what's an EP? It's less expensive to make. It has less songs on it. However, if you actually wait till you have 10 songs and make a real album, you're giving them more variety. You have more opportunity with that music person because you don't have to send them again and wait. They have more variety to choose from, and I think that it's worth it to do that, if that makes sense. But if you can't do it, then sure, then make an EP. It's fine. Yeah, and as an artist, you have an advantage with whatever you do if you make it into a real EP, not just sending loose songs, like actual body of work, cover art, and that kind of thing. So I hope that that's helpful. Is that good? Okay. Yeah, okay. So then we have, let's see, also, so in reference to joining ASCAP CSAC, I can only join IPRS, so basically ASCAP CSAC are only for people who are from the US. Well, again, you can actually, as a foreigner, join one of the American PROs, but it really behooves you to join your PRO first and then see what the policy is at your PRO, and then you can discuss. There are foreigners who are signed to the American PROs. It's until you have a body of work, it's not really that useful, but I would suggest really getting involved in your own PRO and seeing how they can be of help, of use for you first. And then I would also suggest get to know the people at the American PROs. You know, you can find all their names and listings. You can, and get to know the creative staff. Just send them an email, see if someone will speak with you, because, you know, it's all about relationships and networking and getting to know people and keeping in contact with them, which is a huge job. It's a huge job. But, you know, everybody can help you with little differences, and maybe like you connect with someone at an American PRO who has some writer who really wants to work in the Indian market, and they might connect you.
Okay.
You know, it's all, you never know, just like me getting hired in the hot tub. You never know. Or I actually was sending invites for this event, and by mistake, because I tried to send them to the creatives, not to the business people, I sent to an A&R person who has taken me under his wing and loves my music at a major label.
Okay.
And how did that happen? By chance. I mean, things happen by chance. So every connection that we make is important to make and keep. And, you know, who knows, you know, someone might be interested in you because you're exotic to them, and they are interested in your market.
Okay.
So Lottie is saying, Poland is horrible to get money out of from self-publishers and money. So back to that, Nikki. Thanks, Lottie, about that. Yeah, I agree with you, Lottie. And although Eastern European countries are difficult too, yeah. So she has this sub-publisher though, but unfortunately there's no money. So, you know, but again, Nikki, maybe that sub-publisher you can keep in contact with and get some music on a bigger artist that's important. You know, maybe if you keep that connection going, you're going to get something really cool out of that. You know what I mean?
Wait, are you talking to me?
In Poland, yeah. Lottie was writing about how hard it is. Lottie is above you here, and she's a publisher. In addition to a songwriter, she has a big publishing company in Denmark. And she was saying how difficult it is to get the money out of Poland. But now that you have a sub-publisher there and a relationship in general, maybe you'll get some big artists or major label artists in Poland. And like, I had songs on a major artist in BMG in Czechoslovakia and also in Hungary, and I actually made money because they were major artists that sold major amounts of music. So keep that relationship going, you know, don't just think about it as the one song. And let's see, Lottie was saying, first time attending, however, what you do, oh, thank you, Lottie. That's so nice of the kudos. I want to know more about how you chase where your money is found. Okay, so let's discuss that. I chase the money that's found in a variety of ways. It's very difficult to chase the money on the radio. Very difficult, because all the PROs are going to come back to you with the algorithms and this and that and playlists and timing, and very difficult. Impossible to police the foreign radio money. Impossible. Okay, but now record sales, mechanicals, much easier. There are the SoundScan amounts. If you see the SoundScan says it sold 422,000 records, you know now you have an amount. And if you were only paid for 100,000 of those 422, you know you're missing money. So for instance, I was once missing 1 million units on a hit single. It had 3 versions. I was missing 1 million units from Warner Brothers. I tried to then had an admin deal, not a publishing deal, but actually an admin deal. Tried to get them to find the money. Tried to get my lawyer to find the money. Tried to get my manager to find the money. Nobody could find the money. I said, that's it. I'm going to get paid. I'm going to find my money. So I found the person at Warner Brothers to contact, and I contacted them and finally got the money. It took 4 installments because every time they'd pay me, they'd short me like 300,000. So I have to go back and go, oh, this is really happy. Thank you. Send me my 300,000, you're missing. And finally, after 4 installments, I was only short about 15,000 units, and I let it go. Because 15,000 units seems like a lot, but it's lunch money. It's no money. So, you know, it was okay. And I got my money, but I had to do it myself because no one else could get that money. So that's what I'm saying is I searched out at Warner Brothers who would be the right person by calling this person and them sending me to that person and that person. So then I found that. So then I had a situation there too, where there was another single that I was missing, but only 180,000 units. But still, that's a lot. And I said to them, at that time I was signed with an administration deal, which is similar to a publishing deal, except that they don't have rights to really license the songs. They just really collecting the money, and they get a smaller percentage, like usually 10% or 20% instead of 50%. But I said to the Warner Brothers guy, and now there's this other record and I'm missing all these units. And he went and did research and came back to me and said, well, that one we paid, but we paid it to your publisher. Well, that was an amazing situation because at that point there were only 5 major labels. Now there are only 3 major labels. So you would think that a major publisher would have a checklist that they got paid every quarter from each record label. However, this publisher never cashed the check for the Warner Brothers distribution. So not only didn't they pay my money, they didn't pay anything from that distribution because they never cashed the money. This is in days of checks. Never cashed, yes. So then I had to go to them and go to the publisher and say, look, this is what happened and I want my money. So now what did they do to cover themselves? They sent me half of it and called it an advance. And then they made me wait out another quarter till they actually got their money, cashed the check, and sent me the rest. So to cover up this huge mistake, like all the millions of dollars, because I found them millions and millions of dollars, that's what they did to settle me. So that's another way that I knew from the sound scan that I was missing these mechanicals. Then I used, for the film, TV, games, ads kind of thing, I use a platform, which I think Dream mentioned, called TuneSat. And it's Tune Satellite is what it stands for, but it's called tunesat.com. And I register my songs there. And this is an amazing platform, and it works for many countries all over the world, and foreign people can do it to see if their music is being aired in these territories. It's really only useful for Americans to register, to look under the domestic use of it, because it's very hard to get the other money. But if you're in Denmark, they list it there. You would want to also get the Denmark service because you could see what was airing in Denmark. If you're in India or anywhere else, you would probably want to get the American service because it's easier to get the American money, and most of the airing is in America and the UK, stuff like that. But in real time, they fingerprint your songs, and in real time comes up that's the music played. So if right this second an episode of Laguna Beach that I had a lot of performance show songs on the show. Let's say that one of the episodes comes up right now this second in my portal. That comes up, the listing that right now at this time at 1:47 p.m. came up that I had this song. They list the song title. They actually have an MP3. You can hear the use of the song. They list that what time it was, the length of the queue, and this all comes up in your portal. So with this system, I'm able to keep track of what is playing, airing on the TV. Now, it's not 100% perfect either. They make mistakes, they miss things, the timings are wrong, but it's still really wonderful. So in addition to that, as a cross-check, I use either TV, I used to use TV Guide, but CSEC doesn't like TV Guide. They like Zap2It because they use TMS, which is what is that? Tribune Music Services is what reports to them. So the free version of Tribune Music Services, TMS, because TMS is very, very expensive and impossible to subscribe to unless you're like a PRO, is Zap2It. ZAP, the number 2 IT, so zap2it.com, and they list the TV listings that are the same thing that TMS uses. And I look up every cue that I have once a week, and I've got it down to such a system that it doesn't really take that long, maybe an hour, to look up thousands of these cues. And I copy and paste into a list what has aired that week, which is how I always know, Lottie, if our music is being used. And I copy and paste that into a list, and every quarter when my royalty checks come, I'm able to A/B with the TuneSat, which I also copy and paste the TuneSat detections into this one master list. I'm able to see what Zap2It says aired, what TuneSat says aired, and then I can see when I get my royalty statement, what did I get paid for? So I'm able to see that I didn't get paid for each individual thing that I didn't get paid for, I'm able to see. So it's very, very useful. And I also keep track with the foreign. If I know that I have a hit song in Denmark and I didn't get paid for it, I'm going to remind Lottie. I'm going to go, Lottie, I have a hit song on your artist in Denmark, and we need to find out from CODA, which is the Danish Performing Rights Society, where is the money? Because we didn't get paid for this. And now Lottie, being a member of CODA, is going to go run over to CODA and say, hey, I want my money. So all of these systems of checks and balances really help. And you have to make sure also the cue sheets are correct. You all know what cue sheet is? The cue sheet, the music sheet, the database of what was used in a TV show or in a movie. Every episode of a TV show has one, and every movie has one. And it's supposed to list all the songs and all the score that is in that piece of work in that TV show or movie. Or games, ads also that air on TV, that might air on TV. And it lists, similar to the metadata, it's going to list the name of the artist, it's going to list the names of the writers, it's going to list the names of the publishers, their performing rights societies, it's going to list the timing, how long the piece of music is that they used, and the song title. So it's going to list all of that, and you have to make sure the cue sheets are correct, because at least 50% of the time the cue sheets are wrong. So how are they wrong? They'll list that I'm a BMI member. So now that's a big problem. Why? Who cares, right? If its songs are all registered, you're saying, is that a problem? Well, that's a problem because all cue sheets are still done manually, because no cue sheet looks the same. Every production makes a different cue sheet. Some are handwritten, some are typed in some strange fonts. They're all different formats. And so the poor person at the PRO who does this gets the cue sheets and has to manually input the information into their system. So basically, the CSAC person is looking for CSAC. I mean, they don't have time to look for names and everything else. They're busy, these people. So they're looking for CSAC. And if it lists me as BMI, they're not going to pay me because they're not going to see it. They may not even see my name. They're just looking CSAC. And also because they're doing it by hand, they might miss the cue, because that's exhausting on your eyes to be reading this down and trying to find every cue. So that's why it's really important to make sure the cue sheets are correct, make sure they're filed correctly with the PRO, make sure the reason why you didn't get paid for is maybe because of the cue sheet error, that not anything malicious on the PRO's side, they just didn't have it, the information. You also want to make sure the splits are correct. You want to make sure the names of your publishing company is correct, because I cannot tell you they're like wrong constantly. So these are things that are important. You have to make sure you get the cue sheet, which is a big catch-22, because when you sign when you sign your documents with the PROs, it tells you as the writer publisher are responsible to collect the cue sheets. Problem? The productions don't want to give you, the writer, the cue sheet. So it becomes a difficulty where another reason why CSAC is better is they will actually help you find the cue sheet. Some people there are nice and they'll try to get the cue sheet. At ASCAP and BMI, you are out of luck. They're not going to help you find that cue sheet. You're going to have to find that cue sheet. And so you now have to try to get the music supervisor to send you the cue sheet, the producer. Now, what happens when you try that? They hate you. And sometimes you get in a place where they don't work with you again, which is so unfair, because you just want to get paid, but they don't want to give you the cue sheet. And they might even tell you they sent it to ASCAP, but ASCAP swears they don't have the cue sheet. So this is, it's all like a cycle of this. So Lottie, it's endless. It's like every day, how do I get paid? The sync licenses, did I get paid my upfront fee, right? So I signed a sync license, a sync master license, and they're gonna pay me $1,000, and now a year later, they haven't paid me the $1,000, and then I try to get the $1,000 with smiley faces, and then they get angry because they say I'm hounding them for the money, and on and on. So trying to get paid as a writer and publisher is so difficult. But we have to keep doing all these systems, all of this in motion, in place to keep policing our money, because yeah, it sucks. You know, it's not fair that we should have to work so hard to get paid. We should just get paid. And then I will tell you that when you try to get paid, people don't like you. So I have a lot of people who find me very irritating and are very irritated and angry with me because I find them errors and want the money and kind of think I should just let it go. But then, like Linda was saying, I wouldn't have enough money to live and pay the musicians, because like when I have a singer come to my studio, I pay them then. They don't wait. I pay everybody, and right? And like the gas bill, if you owe $3 on the gas bill, they're gonna tell you they're shutting your gas off. But the PROs and the record labels, they think it's only $3 and deal with it. And people drive around to the gas station to save 5 cents to the next block. But it doesn't work like that for us. So we have to keep trying to get paid. I hope that's helpful and sort of roundaboutly answered the question, Lottie. Yeah? What? I'm wondering why people can't unmute themselves. What did you say?
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Okay, cool. So we have to keep doing that. Again, but the foreign stuff is really hard unless you have a buddy like Lottie, you have somebody that you're working with directly in another place, because that's kind of hard to police. And let's see.
I'm signing off. Thank you all.
Oh, Linda, I love you and thank you for all your help.
Oh, it was wonderful. Everybody, good luck, everybody.
Bye, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see. Do you have preferred publishing companies that you go through? Nikki is asking. Also, does the location of the publishing company matter in regards to where I am? Plus and minuses. Okay, so these days, nothing matters where you are physically. Okay. We are in this global world where I pitch songs all day from my pool deck. I sit outside in the sun all day, and I might as well get rejected in a happy place. So it doesn't matter where we are. I have no preferred publishing companies. I don't like any of them. They all suck. So that's just my opinion. They all suck. They all. I had one writer today write me. He's been signed to Warner Chappell for years. They do nothing for him. He keeps trying to get out. They won't let him out. And every time he has a tiny success, they especially won't let him out. And yet they don't help him at all. So I feel like doing it yourself is better. The only reason why you sign a publishing deal is because you have a hit song and they're offering you $gazillion and you're going, okay, I'll take the cash. But by then you have the hit song, so you're sort of giving away 50% of the publishing to get this big advance when you already have the hit. And if you can just hang in there and get an advance, like CSAC gives advances, some of the other PROs give advances. If you just hang in there, you know, you might, and there are others. There's a company called Sound Royalty that gives advances on income. You might as well do that rather than giving away 50%. So that's just my opinion. Okay. And of course, we all sign. I've been signed many times, and we all sign publishing deals thinking, oh, we found this champion. They love us. They believe in us. They're gonna do something for us, but then they don't.
Okay.
So
you prefer, you're saying for publishing, you prefer going through CSAC for the publishing?
No, I go through myself for the publishing. I own my own publishing. Even if you have a publishing deal, the writer share of the publishing of the performance money comes to you directly from your PRO. So that has no bearing on it.
Okay. So it's not crucial. Like, let's say you have songs, I have songs signed up in CSAC, and I'm signed up with them as a publisher because I'm not signed with ASCAP as a publisher, just a songwriter. So you're saying
that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. You should always be signed as a songwriter and a publisher. It's not a good idea to just have a writer account. That's not professional, and it's not a good idea. So you definitely want to have a publishing account.
Right. So
wherever you are.
What's that?
You can't be a publisher at CSAC and a writer at ASCAP, though. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question about the PROs, because since I haven't registered any songs at ASCAP yet, and I do want to sign up for a publishing account, I actually want to switch over to CSAC. But when I signed up for ASCAP, I was going under one artist name, and I haven't published anything. I haven't submitted anything to them yet. So I'm wondering, can I sign up for CSAC?
No, because they use your social security number.
Oh, I
They
see.
don't care what your name is.
Okay, so then I really just have to make sure that I find when the termination date is for ASCAP to switch over to CSAC.
Yeah, and actually, I just found out at CSAC this week that all of a sudden they've started using this international registry that only uses your legal name as well.
Okay.
Require your legal name, and even so with the social security number, it's the same. So you can't do that. You have to get out of the other PRO. Now you can have multiple publishing companies at different PROs, but as long as you publish someone else. So in other words, I'm a CSAC writer and a CSAC publisher. However, I have past catalogs at BMI and ASCAP from old songs that are still there. And also, if I publish someone who's a BMI writer, I can have a BMI company, a publishing company, because I publish them. But as a writer, you can only be at one PRO at a time. Okay. And you're right, your publishing company is with you. Your personal publishing company is also at that PRO. Now, no one else in the rest of the world has this problem, because every other country besides the US has only one PRO. We're the only country that has more than one. So if you're Indian, like Megha, she's going to sign with IPRS, and Lottie's with CODA, and so, you know, that's how that works. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And just lastly, there's no other way to until the contract is over with that PRO to like cancel it. There's no other way to.
No, and they make it so hard for you to get out. Even you have to get that 90-day window and send that certified letter, and you have to follow up, and they do not want you to leave. And also, if you have songs registered there, to get the old songs out is pretty impossible. You don't have that problem because you didn't register anything, but to get the songs out, if you did, usually you have to leave them and then just start new at the other PRO.
Do you have any idea how long that those contracts are usually for?
Oh yeah, like we were discussing before. So the ASCAP contract is 1 year.
Oh, it's only a year. Well, then it's probably already expired, because I registered a few years ago and I haven't renewed. So I'm probably.
It automatically renews. You don't renew it. It automatically renews until you get out. BMI's writer contract is 2 years. Their publisher contract is 5 years, and CSAC is 3 years writer, 3 years publisher, and they automatically renew.
Even if you don't pay?
Even if you don't pay, they automatically.
It's a one-time pay.
It's a one-time payment. Yes, at CSAC there's no fee. Yeah. Okay. And it's a one-time payment.
Does it matter what time of year you register? Is it usually like?
No, it doesn't matter. So, like in other words, if you registered October 10th, then usually that's the out date. Usually the date is 1 year from the date you registered.
I registered, so I have to find out when that is and see when the window to get out in.
Exactly. And like Linda was saying, ASCAP is doing it online, which is very cool. The other thing ASCAP does, by the way, that's cool, is they have a Q sheet database. They create an ASCAP version of the Q sheet, but you can find your Q sheets, and they're usually in your portal. So that's kind of fun. BMI and CSAC don't do that, which is really nice. Let's see, you're also saying, how do you get your foot in the door as a writer, which seems to be easier than as a performer? If writers that don't have any placements don't usually get placements, since they like to see. Okay, so and I totally disagree. Now, I think the playing field is very, very even whether you have placements and success or not, because someone like me, I am so boring to so many people. They're gonna go, yeah, she has all the success. Yeah, that's really nice. What else do you have? Send me somebody new. So it's really kind of weighted equally. They want to discover somebody new. If they find you and you're doing something great for them, they're like on top of the world. They're like, everybody's calling them going, how did you find that artist? She's amazing. That is so cool. You know, so discovery is really important for the powers that be.
You're talking about labels, right?
No, music supervisors too. Everybody.
Because the issue that I was having, well, I'm specifically like, because I am an artist as well. I sing and I write my own songs. But the issue that I was having with getting my stuff out there is I've heard many times that it's easier to get in the door as a writer. Like many artists before they made it, famous artists wrote for other people. So that's how they kind of, you know, got in. And so
that's more of an old day thing. Now it's not like that. That's like in the days
Okay.
of maybe Carole King and
Okay.
the Bull Building. And no, it's not like that anymore. Everything is so online, and do it yourself and put yourself out there and be discovered on YouTube.
Okay.
The most important thing is not making excuses. The problem is that everybody makes excuses. They're only a writer. They're only a singer. They're only this. They don't have any money. They have to work 2 jobs, and on and on and on. And every time you do that, you limit yourself. Every time we put those negative limitations on ourselves and make excuses, that's what limits us. So if we think we can do anything and forge anything and scrub the floors for 10 hours, and then we have still 4 hours left or whatever to make music, that's what we need to do.
Right.
I mean, I work 16, 17, 18 hours a day, every day, and I have for all these years, and that's why I get something happening, is because I have no life. I mean, I'm always working. And unfortunately, that's what it takes. It really takes that commitment. There's really not much other way to do it. So, you know, you can get placements if you're brand new. I did, we all did. Everybody who started somewhere.
Right. Well, I guess it's more about like the collaborating with people that are signed. That's what I've had a little bit of difficulty with, because I have a friend who's a very talented producer and works with major artists. He signed to Universal as a composer. And so he really likes my music, and he's like, it's great, and I'd love to work with you. But unfortunately, you know, he's like, it's hard. I have to work with writers right now that already have their foot in the door, that are like, have stuff that's known. Otherwise, like, Universal won't really care. And it's like, I'm hoping that he might take a chance and we do something. I mean, otherwise I'll just pay him whatever friend rate he's offering me, which is great. But in terms of like
paying him a friend rate,
like for production and stuff, to work with him and do, so we can actually work on a song, because he's—
Oh, you mean he's charging for production? He's not charging you to write with him.
No, but he was saying, like, in order, because he's right now working with writers that are already signed as well to like different, you know, to whatever different companies that have a track record of like, they've written for major artists. So those are the artists he's wanting to work with, because he has to get paid.
Right. So then he's charging you to write with him.
No. What I'm saying is that he said, if I want to, he also is a producer. So he said, if I want to work with him, and
he'll produce your demos for a fee.
For a fee, yeah. But in terms of the writing, even
writing credit.
No, but I'm saying, even though I'm a talented songwriter, he has hesitation to work with me because I don't have anything placed yet.
Yeah, okay, so I have a lot of things to say about that. One, it's fine to hire him to produce your music as long as he doesn't get a piece of the writing or the publishing and you pay him. That's totally fine. And he allows you to own the master. That's
okay.
Totally fine. As for the other, first of all, I write with people, we all write with people that we believe in, and if that's his what he wants to do, then you have to respect that.
Right.
I don't write with anybody who has a publishing deal, because if you have a publishing deal, my songs, I cannot pitch them. The music supervisors will not use any songs that have major publishers. So I myself am the other way. I don't want to write with him because he has a publishing deal, and now my songs are going to get encumbered, because if I go pitch those songs, like Jeffrey was discussing before, with trying to one-stop, pre-cleared pitch those songs and not have to tell you every time, I can't do that with Universal, because I was signed to Universal and they were the worst. You know, it would take them 2-3 weeks to come back to return your call about a placement, and by then the TV show had aired 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I mean, so to me, I think he's useless to write with anyway. Who cares? There are tons of unsigned writers, or writers that are signed to more friendlier companies like Lottie's small publishing company, where that will play with you and allow you to do stuff. And that's who you really want to concentrate on anyway. You don't want your songs encumbered, so you write with this Universal guy, and now you have this song, and then even though he could pitch it, maybe you're thinking of Britney Spears, but you can't do anything with the song other than that. It's just going to sit, because you can't place it anywhere. So I don't personally think he's useful anyway, unless he doesn't charge you a fortune to record the demo, and then that's good.
Yeah, he was going to give me a really good rate, and he's
good.
Yeah, so
then you should definitely hire him. That's fantastic. As long as you understand that you own the master because he's being paid. You know, I think that's great.
Okay.
And then Dree is saying, can you release a song as an artist if you're interested in pitching said song to a bigger artist? I believe you can, Dree, yes. I mean, I've had some songs that have been recorded multiple times by major label artists. So yes, I mean, sometimes it's to your advantage because you might get the song out there and then artist, somebody, a Celine Dion or somebody just loves it and wants to do their own take on it. So sure, like it used to be in the old days, the song was the star, and like Gershwin and Rodgers and Hammerstein, and 10,000 people recorded the same song. And now we're in this awful stupid place where like a song almost becomes dead when somebody records it and nobody else wants to record it.
Right.
But I've seen it happen that has happened for me, where the song was released by a new artist or not even released, and 3 major label artists recorded it in different versions. And yeah, so definitely I wouldn't like not release the song. I believe in not putting your eggs in one basket. I believe in diversifying, and we should just send the songs all over the place wherever they can go and get them used, and everything helps parlay into the next thing. So that's just how I believe it. Why encumber ourselves by that? So you should do this. You're a great artist. Let's see. And then you're welcome. And Nikki is saying, when pitching to labels, how do you suggest rephrasing the "what do you need, what can I send you" approach the licensing when the labels usually don't take any solicited material? Do you have any sample letters? Okay, awesome. All right. So I have my own little sample letter that I make, and I think this is a really great thing that you mentioned, because I might have forgotten to mention this, which is pleasantries are the most important thing on the planet. When you are pitching songs, don't write, "Hey, I'm Nikki, I do this, I do this, I do this, here's a song, listen."
Okay.
Right. Dear John, how are you? I hope this finds you well. I know you're really busy, but I so believe in this song for your artist, Jane Doe. And I so would love you to have a listen. A few credits, and I've done this and this and this. And, your credits can be, if you played guitar for Sammy Hagar, you didn't have to write a song with him. You could mention whatever. I worked with Sammy Hagar, I worked with the Dixie Chicks, I worked with whatever. And maybe you wash dishes for them. You still work with them, so you're not lying. You worked with them. Whatever you did, make it nice. Oh, they're reading this so fast. They're so busy. They see a few big names. They go, cool, cool, cool. Even if you don't have any big names, don't worry about it. Just send them a link. Here's my link to my last performance. And I so believe in this song. And thank you so much for listening. You want to make these letters really specific. And like we have Meng Ting here, who worked with me, and she's amazing. She writes the most beautiful letters, and she does research first. So before you write to some music supervisor, you go look them up, watch an interview they did, read something about them, and then be able to write in the letter to them. I watched your interview at the New Music Seminar online, and I loved the way you said this. I love this. I learned so much from you. It's so amazing that you've worked on and list the projects, some of the projects they've worked on. You have to talk about them. You have to tell them something about them, because if you don't do any research about them, you shouldn't be contacting them. You should know what they're doing. Now, you should also know if you're sending for a movie or a TV show, something about the TV show or the movie, because if you're sending country songs to a show about dance music, they're not going to be happy.
Right.
They might send you something nasty back.
Right.
Now, I also send a song, because I don't ever ask, like you're saying, what can I send you? I usually send them. Except with Meng Ting, we were writing people specifically. Right. So I wasn't sending music. But usually, if I'm writing them directly, I might send them a song and go, here's a song I so believe in for the show Nashville. It's a country song about blah, 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 really quickly. And I would enclose it. Because what are they going to do, blow you up?
Right.
They might write you back saying, don't send me any music. But if they're in a good mood and you write them in the subject, I so believe in this song. I've never pitched songs before, but I so believe in this song. Just be honest. You might get lucky, and they take a listen. Because I got lucky doing that. You know what I mean? Cold pitching.
So in addition to that, so my question was specifically like for labels, not so much for licensing, because licensing is like a specific, like, I'm sending this for your consideration for this like artist or whatever. But what if it's like for a label specifically, and you're saying, I'll use all the same lingo that you just, excuse me, that you just used. But what if I'm saying, do I say like, I think this song would be a great fit for your label or my music or my artistry? Like,
you have to decide. You can't say if you're writing as you, the artist, not like you're pitching the song to Kelly Clarkson.
Right.
So if you're sending it as your artist project, then you have to put, I so believe in myself as an artist and in these songs, and I'd like to introduce myself to you. And I like to introduce myself directly, perhaps without a manager. And here's one of the songs that I so believe in for my project.
You would start with one song versus
one song. I would start with one song. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially because you don't know them. If you know them, it's different. But I would start with one song.
Would you attach one song or ask them, may I send
you?
you?
No, don't ask them. Just send it.
Oh, okay. Because I was talking to Rich Ezra, actually, because that's how we started talking through your friend. And he said that, so I was asking him about like solicited material versus not. And he said that what's unsolicited means is unrequested. So he's saying if you request for your music to be heard, then they'll most likely listen to it. So, but you're saying don't ask them if you can send it.
Look, I love Rich. He's my dear, dear friend, but Rich does not pitch songs.
Okay.
Okay, if you give them the opportunity to say no, they're going to say no.
Right. Just attach it and be cordial and give them a reason to listen to it.
Yes.
Okay.
And I use a hightail system that gives you a return receipt. So I know if they downloaded the song.
Oh, I see. That's what you were talking about. I wanted to ask you about that as well.
If they download the song, I usually don't follow up. I figure they listened, they downloaded it, you know? And then maybe the next time I have another song, I might send them another song a few months later. But I rarely follow up, I'm assuming. But if they don't download it, then I resend it again as if I never sent it.
Okay.
You know, I resend the whole thing again as if I never sent it. Like, for instance, I had a big hit with Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, and I sent the same A&R guy the same song in a CD in those days 4 times. 4 times, sent him the same CD. Like, he didn't respond. Finally, he responded. I just kept pitching it, you know, as if I hadn't sent it before. So that's kind of what I recommend.
And like when you're resending it, do you say something like, I'm not sure if you got it the first time, or you don't even?
I usually just resend it, especially if I don't know them. If I know them, I might say, I'm not sure you got this. But if I don't know them, no, I just cold pitch it again. And also, if you have a link because you're sending it as an artist, if you all that are artists, send an attachment of some kind of link to a YouTube of you performing live or something. That's really nice. You could send them a little link so they could see who you are, you know. And yeah, you can do all of that. And eventually, someone will be nice. I mean, you know, for the most part, people are not going to respond and they're going to discard it.
Okay.
But every so often, like once I called somebody and I was asking them, can I need any songs for blah, blah, blah? And he said, no, but I needed this and I need it done now. Can you do it? Now, I was just lucky to call this person at that moment when he had something on the desk he needed to be taken care of. I said yes, because I always say yes, even if I can't do it, and figure out how to do it. Now, so I got this gig. It was a marching band arrangement of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Wow.
Yeah, so I needed it for that movie, Curly Sue. It was a huge movie. So, okay, yes. So I got the gig. Because I got lucky that, so you might send this email right at the moment that this A&R guy really needs something. And he might write you back going, you know what, I don't have time to listen to this right now, but can you do this? Because I really need this.
Right.
And all kinds of weird things like that always happen.
Yeah.
You know? But I always keep the ball in my pocket where I'm, you know, I would say, please, or I wouldn't say, do you need something? I would say, please send me, tell me what you need, more specifics about what you need for upcoming this or something like that. But I would be more, please tell me, more forceful rather than what do you need? Can I send you this? Because, you know, you want to keep the ball in your court. Right. And Melissa, do you think it's necessary to be a game changer for an artist to get the music registry database for A&R contracts? Oh, it's great. I get that when I subscribe to it. It comes out quarterly.
Okay, so that was my other question about that. So you what do you feel like your success rate or the response rate has been specifically from using the contacts from the music registry? Do you think
Well, those are the contracts, so it's not like using the contacts from the music registry. He's just giving you the contacts. Here's the A&R guys at Sony and Universal and BMG and all the A&R guys from all over the place. So he's providing you these A&R people, and it's up to you how you use that. Now, I personally use LinkedIn is another thing that I love. And I try to make friends with these people on LinkedIn and on Facebook so they see me, so they see what I am, so they make friends with me, so I'm able to have a little connection, you know, before I connect with them. But I also write them cold, so it depends. Yeah, so it depends. Again, sometimes people are going to be nice. Most of the time they're not. So, but sometimes they're going to be nice. So I use that database because that's the only way really to get their direct emails. However, I will say you have to use common sense. For instance, everybody at Atlantic Records is at atlanticrecords.com, and everybody at Universal is at universal.com. I think it's uni.com. Everybody, if you find the suffix for the emails, everybody at that company is pretty much the same.
Right.
If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So if you're sending it to John Smith at Warner Brother WBR.com, then you're going to have Jane.doe at WBR.com. So, you know, you also have to do a little troubleshooting. But on LinkedIn, if you make friends with them, they give you the contact information too.
Okay.
So it's all a system of checks and balances. You know, these are not easy things to do. And Rich Ezra's website, Megha, is the Music Business Registry. So even if you just Google music business here, so Earl left it. He has musicregistry.com. I usually use Music Business Registry, but I'm sure that's right, Earl. Thank you. And Rich is spelled R-I-T-C-H. Let's see.
Michelle, can I ask you? Sorry, one last thing from before. From my last question. When you were saying to re-pitch, like if they don't get it the first time or if they don't respond, cold pitch, do you just like literally resend it? Like the exact same thing? You don't edit anything?
The exact same thing.
Like, hi, my name is this, or not like, okay, so just the exact
but don't start, hi, my name is this. Make sure you say, hi, how are you? Thank you for your time.
Right.
I find you well. I know you're busy.
Right.
Make sure you give them some pleasantries.
Right. But the exact same thing over and over until they respond.
Sending it over and over.
Okay.
But like over and over, like every couple of months, not like every 10 days.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. At one point they might write you and go, "Wow, you're tenacious." Okay, I'll listen.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki, you're saying, what do you mean by embedding the metadata?
Oh, we already talked about that. Sorry, that got answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay. I was wondering about a manager for songwriting or an agent. Is that because I have co-writers that have managers and just for their songwriting, and they kind of help them get the briefs of what's like who needs what, and you know. So I was interested in knowing more about that and how you.
Well, there's also you can subscribe to the Who's Looking list, which comes out every month. It's $20 a month, and that's for record labels for the A&R things. It's not always updated as well as it could be, I think, but it's pretty good.
Okay.
And again, you're welcome to try to get an agent or a manager. I don't think it's worth it, but I don't think they do anything is the problem. I think the only way I would do that is if they got their commission on if they did it, but not on everything you do. So like I had a manager for many years. He died unfortunately last year, but for like 30 years, and I would commission him on what he got. And every so often, he'd get me a cut or connect me with someone that I get a cut with or connect me with someone that I get a placement with or whatever. And for everything that he did like that, I commissioned him. Okay. Right? But if I got it myself, he didn't get a commission on it. And that worked out really well because that's, well, first of all, it's incentive for him to do something because you're not going to get paid unless he does it. And you are not going to lose all this money that you didn't need to. Because, right? It's the same thing with almost publishing deals. I read all my contracts myself because they're very short. But if you want a publishing administrator to take care of your stuff, they're going to charge, there's some that charge by the hour. And that's so much cheaper to pay $90 for a mechanical license than 20% of all the money you make from a hit record, you know, to do a license. So there's so many different options for these kind of things. Does that help?
Yeah. No, it does.
If someone's going to help you, then sure. You know, I lots of times people come to me and they want to pitch, and I tell them the same thing. Sure, here you go. Thank you. You know, I'll give you this 20% if you get the 50%, whatever the amount we agree on. If you get something,
Okay.
And it works really well, you know, because every so often they do something.
Well, that sounds more like an agent would probably just take what they get you, but a manager, they usually want everything, right? So
It varies. Sometimes the agent does too. So it really varies. And songwriters don't have agents. Only performers have, performing artists. So the agent is there for you to book shows.
Okay.
But a songwriting agent would not be the true publisher. They're a true term. It doesn't really exist. Agents book shows. Agents are for live performances and things like that. So publishers, managers, those are the people that actually are, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Agents are negotiating the deals. Like I have a composer agent right now negotiating a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't get the deal. It's such a big deal that I didn't want to do it myself, so he's negotiating it. So,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and he's just doing this one thing, and hopefully I'll need him again for something else, but.
I was going to ask you something else, if it's okay. I know you were talking about non-exclusive libraries, and do you happen to have any of your songs in exclusive libraries, like just ones that maybe you're not really doing things with now, and they're just out there? And
no, but yes. Yes, because they commissioned me to do it. They paid me to do it. They paid the expenses, and I did like volumes, albums of music for them. But yes, and I love that more than anything. I love getting a library commission. So I have stuff with like not Killer Tracks, Mega Tracks and Sonaton and ABC and Telepictures and different ones like that. And yes, because they pay for the music to own it exclusively.
So they commissioned you, so it wasn't like you said, oh, you know, I have these songs are sitting around, why don't I just stick them in, you know?
Well, one of them, they took a few songs I had sitting around because they loved them and wanted to buy them, so I allowed it.
Okay.
But, and they weren't really even sitting around, they'd been placed before, but they really wanted them, and so I was like, okay. But I would not, first of all, I have no songs that I would want to do that with, because I like them all, and I think they're all good, and I want to keep pitching them. So I've turned down that time and time again, going, no, I'm not going to give you an exclusive, because you give an exclusive 3 years, 5 years, and the song never gets placed, and it sits there, and then you can't do anything, and nobody else can do anything with it. So I don't recommend exclusives at all, personally. There are so many non-exclusive people around, and libraries around, where you can work with them, and those are great. They're really great. And hopefully they're also picking and choosing what they want, which most of them do. It's not like you just throw them songs and they take them all. Usually they pick and choose them. And then you know they like them, and hopefully they're going to try to pitch them.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. I have, you have, what do you think is easier or harder, getting a record or published, sort of equally difficult? They're apples and oranges. Nikki, they're apples and oranges. I mean, you're not going to get a publishing deal unless you have a hit song.
Right.
Then why do you want it? Because you want the cash, and you think they might do something for you, but usually they don't, and then you become an indentured servant, like so many of my friends have become. You know, they're signed to all these major publishing companies that don't help them do anything, and they're unrecouped, and they had one hit and they got signed and nobody did anything for them. So, you know, and as for getting a record deal, it's a crapshoot. You know, if you really want a major label record deal, those are great. I actually believe in them because, you know, the major labels still have all the money. So they have all the promotion money. Again, though, they're spending your money. It's all your money because they recoup everything. It's not like they give you anything that's actually payment. Everything they give you is recoupable. So you have to know that. Like if you go on tour, the dancers, everything you pay for everything. But they have a big machine behind them to get you promoted, and they're nice to get. So how do you get them? Maybe you do like Shawn Mendes and you post 5 seconds on Instagram, or maybe you have your YouTube channel and you get some A&R guy excited about it, or maybe you do a bunch of live shows and you send out 5,000 invites and a few of them show up, and maybe you go to an event like Durango, like we were talking about, or the ASCAP thing and Expo, and you meet some A&R people who like you, and somebody signs you. I mean, you know, it's all the same. It's all the same. You know, it's all about promotion. It's all about marketing. Everything is all of that. So if you just make the music and you don't market and you don't promote and you don't find your money and you sit around and, you know, then nothing happens. But if you're really, really proactive, you know, things can happen.
Right. How do you feel about indie labels? Do you have any?
Yeah, indie labels are great too. I mean, there are some that are nice, and if you sign with an indie label that at least has some major label distribution and some.
Right, that's I was gonna say Glassnote Records.
Yeah, Glassnote is a great label.
You like them?
Yeah, they're like a, you know, mini major. Yeah, that's a great label. They're very reputable.
Okay. Have you heard of APG, Artist Publishing Group, Mike Carrian's company that he started?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's like a publishing company with a small label. They have a few artists. Charlie Puth is on there.
Oh, that is great. I thought Charlie was on Universal.
Well, I think it shows that maybe he was there in the beginning, but it shows him and Kehlani and Kevin Gates. They only have like 5 artists really. Okay. And their studios are like right down the street from my house. I could literally walk there. So every day I drive by and I see them on Fairfax, and I feel like I should be.
Why do you walk in?
I would, because it's like a private gate code that doesn't even have it's one of those. So, but but they're nice enough to list all of their A&R people online. And one of the questions I had for you is like, when I'm sending my stuff out, should I send it to all of their A&R people in one email, tag everybody, or send individual ones? Because
I send individual ones.
Individual?
Yeah, I would send individual ones. And I would probably be honest if one of them writes you back, just so you know I wrote these people as well, you know. But I would write everybody, because you never know. You never know who you. Plus, different A&R people like different things. Like we were talking about how it's all subjective, and different artists inspire them, and some do rock, and some do country, and some do dance music, and you know. So you know, you could also say I wasn't sure which was the right A&R person for my music, so I contacted everybody.
All of you, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You could even say, I live down the block, you know, I'd love to stop by sometime. I mean, you know, just try whatever you have, but I still think you need more songs. But so Megan's asking, how do I find projects to pitch to? Are there particular websites that I can register on? Basically, how do I find projects, opportunities to pitch to? Okay, so we already discussed, like, I don't like Taxi and any of those things because you have to pay to play. But how do I find projects to pitch to? I read the Hollywood Reporter every day. I read Variety every day. I read the Billboard Bulletin every day. I read about what's going on. I read about all the new TV shows, all the new movies, all the new artists. I mean, it's endless amounts of work. And then I see that something sounds interesting that my music could be good for. Then I go in the International Music Database. I find out who's the music supervisor or who's the producers. I try to contact them, make friends with them on LinkedIn. If I already know the people, I write them. And I see what else they're doing at the same time to make sure I cover all their bases. And I pitch to them. Does that make sense, Megha? You know, so if I see that there's a new TV show called Star Power and it's about music, oh, how cool. I might find out the people who are involved and send them a song and send them some information. So really, it's so much easier these days with the internet because everything is out here for us. So it basically comes down to research. I mean, we have to research. There, again, there's the Who's Looking list for artists. For film and TV, there's no looking list because most of it, especially TV, films have a little more of a margin of time, but usually for TV show, you know, they're episodic week after week, and they're putting in music so quickly, they don't have time to list what they're looking for. You know, you have to contact these music supervisors and say, I read about this project and it sounds right up my song alley, and I want to, you know, I'd love to be involved. Here's an example of a song. And I have lots more. Let me unmute you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's all really about research.
You were saying there were a few other. You'd said Hollywood Reporter and Variety as well, right? Could you?
Yes, from the Billboard Bulletin. The Billboard has a morning bulletin. I don't pay for these. These just show up. So I would check them out. The daily ones, how you can get those.
All right. Okay.
How to do metadata without iTunes? There is no way to do metadata without iTunes. Jeffrey, that's like an iTunes function. Metadata is in iTunes. And all your music is if it's coming from your computer, it's coming from iTunes pretty much. How else are you sending it?
I've just been sending links from SoundCloud.
Oh yeah, you can do that, but you would still, if the music must have originated from somewhere. Didn't it originate from your iTunes before you put it on SoundCloud?
I don't have iTunes. I'm not Mac. I don't use iTunes.
Everybody uses iTunes, so you might consider it, and you don't need a Mac. It works on PC too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way to embed that metadata without it, and you really want to do that. But people are going to get upset if you. So you at least want to get the iTunes and then embed the metadata and then upload that to SoundCloud.
Okay.
And the iTunes. Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. And then we have Thornton said, how is it important to have your song? We discussed that. Earl, you're saying, I'd like to confirm what you said, Michelle. If I have a demo singer I hired for the song I'm pitching, I use the demo singer's name as the artist. Yes, in the metadata. Yes, for the demo singer's name. Let's see. And you know, a good thing to know about demo singers and musicians, which I have started doing, which years ago I didn't do, which gratefully did not come back to bite me, but now these days the opportunity is big. I make them sign work for hire agreements. Everybody who sings, before I pay them, they sign a work for a hire agreement. So I don't want them, so they know that they're getting paid once to do this project. I usually pay a lot. I pay $250, $300 for them to come sing, and then they sign that paperwork because I don't want them coming back, going to the productions, asking for more money. So I hope that makes sense. And then, of course, you can, you know, their name is used as the singer. You know, if they don't want their name used, you can make up a name. But usually they want their name used, especially if it's a good piece. And then let's see, Nikki said, if I have 3 really well-produced songs that I'm using as my pitching demo that I send to labels, I really like it, want to hear more, which is successful. No, that's a great question, Nikki. You don't want to send songs that are of lesser caliber productions. No, because what they're liking is not only the song, but the production. Because these things, it's all about the production. It's not, nobody, like for instance, no one's going out looking for new producers. If I produce a song and Celine Dion's going to record it, they're probably going to have me have Celine come in and record over the existing production, maybe add some bells and whistles to make it special for Celine, and that's it. They're not going to go bother, they don't have to look for an outside producer. It's very rare that happens. In country music, it still happens. But in pop music, it's very rare that happens, or dance music, or rock music. And so you don't want to burn any bridges by sending subpar produced music. It has to be kind of amazing.
So if it's like acoustic or kind of like, I mean, I don't mean, I'm just saying the production isn't as full to some of the other songs that I've recorded. Like some of it's more acoustic, you know, and sometimes I've heard that acoustic is good because they like to hear, because I play guitar and it's like, they like to hear you just playing guitar. And I've heard, you know, oh yeah, send them whatever you have, because producers can hear, like they have an ear for knowing, like, you know, what something sounds like without the production, because that's what they do, because they're producers. But I don't want to be unprofessional by sending them something that's not fully done, because I do technically have more songs recorded. I just only have like 3 songs that are like at a level of recording that I think are like my best work, and then
master quality. They have full produced drums.
Yeah, like mastered, exactly.
Right. Well, then you know it's better to have a song that's a stripped down version that you're introducing to yourself as an artist with these people, than sending them a half produced song. That's really bad.
Right.
You don't want to do that, but you can ask them if they'd like to hear just you and the guitar, and they might.
Right.
You can't really pitch that for licensing opportunities.
Right.
But you can certainly, if it's an A&R person, tell them, let me send you some new songs I have. There are just the guitar vocals.
Okay.
You can do that. Yeah.
You would start with the 1, since I don't have that many. Start with the 1 and have them ask for more, so at least I have a couple more that they can.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And for the PROs, do you recommend the same thing? Like for the PRO, like only register the works that are like of the production caliber?
No, you can. I mean, I was saying before, you know, I sometimes am lax about that, but I would say if you finish a song, we'll register it.
So they can use songs. Like, what would be the best case scenario?
They don't use songs. They just pay.
Right.
If the song is used. So the PROs don't care. They don't listen to the songs. It's a waste of time to send MP3s to the PROs. They don't even listen to them. They just throw them somewhere, probably in your portal.
So how do you register them if they're not doing MP3s?
Oh, you register them on a form on the internet or in a paper form. They're just asking you information, name,
Okay.
name of the publishers, name of the writers. That's it.
Do the PROs do any work on your behalf in terms of getting things placed?
No, no,
They
and
don't
that's not their job. Their job is to pay. That's their
Right.
only job, is to pay, and anything else they do is gravy. So let's say Linda, who's not at CSAC anymore, till it was for 28 years. You were friends with Linda, and she has hooked me up with many writers. There's one friend, and she likes my music, so they might hook you up with someone. But would I expect that she's going to pitch the songs for any reason? No. If she really, really, really believed in you, she might connect you with an A&R person. Yes. So the key is to make friends with someone at your PRO who's in the creative department.
Okay.
And at ASCAP, there's Loretta Munoz is there. She's very nice. You want to make friends with somebody in the creative department if you're going to stay there, so that they might show an interest, come to your show, invite someone down. You never know. It's all about relationships. But that is not their job.
Right.
So if they do that, that's just gravy.
Right.
There's nothing you can expect them to do. Their only job is to pay you.
Are there any companies that like specifically help you get things licensed, or not really?
No, just those libraries and things. No, there's independent song pluggers. You can list them up. If they might wanted to, we'll take a piece. If they get something placed, then you can submit music to them. Yeah.
Okay.
If they like it, they might pitch it.
Which libraries are those? Was that the Billboard?
Yeah, no, in Rich Ezra's book, you'll see tons of the libraries. Look them all up and read about them and see what you think would be a fit for your music, and submit some songs to them.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, what did you say the Billboard one was called again? For Billboard, the pitching section in Billboard, when you said you can read?
Oh, not in Billboard. It's in the Music Business Registry, the music registry. Yeah, they have a film and TV guide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then online, the International Music Database, but that's film and TV related.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And let's see. How come the three societies, Lottie asked that question, she's not here, but how come the three societies collect so differently? Because they're all independent of each other, and they all can do whatever they want, and because they have been around for so many years, they have their own policies and their own procedures, and most of them, and they're very competitive with each other in the United States. So the three performing rights societies, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and GMR, kind of, but the three they're so competitive with each other that the only time they're coming together a little bit now is on the Department of Justice issues because of this mess. But pretty much they don't talk to each other. They don't even know each other's licensing policies. They haven't seen each other's statements. They don't know how each other collect. And so they just are different. Just like, IBM would be compared to some other company. They're their own companies. So, let's see. Thornton, here, you said that CSAC is selected. I'm a longtime ASCAP member with the catalog. I think you said you need some catalog or songs to get CSAC to sign you. But if I left ASCAP, it might be difficult to move my catalog. What incentives would I need to provide CSAC? Okay, so that's an interesting thing, because as Linda was just saying, CSAC has changed their policy again. When I joined CSAC, they were very selective. You had to be asked to join. You had to have a big catalog. You had to be making money. Then they opened it up to new writers and started having boot camp, kind of like the ASCAP Expo, and kind of trying to recruit new artists who didn't have anything that was making money, but they wanted young, new, fresh people. Now it seems they've reverted back to being exclusive. So, because they're all about money now at CSAC. So they don't want writers there who don't make money. So if you've got a proven track record at ASCAP that you make money, they might ask to see your statement even from ASCAP, and then you go meet with them. They might let you join because the prospectus for you to be making money for them is good with your new work. Even if you leave your work at ASCAP, which most likely you will do and will have to do. The only way to get it out is you have to do something like me. I got mine out because BMI, they threw me out for trying to get paid all the time. So they gave me all my songs back. What?
Oh, I just said wow.
Yeah. So yeah, because I kept, like Linda saying, every quarter finding thousands and thousands and thousands, and they were tired after 16 years of paying me. So then I went to CSAC, which was much happier anyway. But and they're hitting, they get tired of paying me too. So again, so Thornton, for you, everybody should be able to unmute themselves. I don't know why I can't, but Thornton, so I unmuted you. So for you, definitely they might just want to know what you've done in the past and see all the fabulous things you've done that you have done. And, you just go in and discuss. Go in and set a meeting with them. In Nashville, there's some really nice people over at CSAC, like Tim Fink. He's really nice. I might suggest getting in touch with him. And there's other creative people in the Nashville office. And go in there. Just walk in the door.
Thank you. Does it help also if you write regularly with some artists, songwriters from CSAC that are their members too?
Everything helps, of course.
Yeah.
So, you just tell them, send them a nice email and tell them I work with these CSAC writers and everybody who knows CSAC, and I'd like to check it out. So I would, for sure, and then they'll tell you, you have to get out of ASCAP first, which we already know. So, I would try, or I would switch to VMI. I would definitely, but because you're writing vocal songs, and I would definitely. Let's see. Writing wrote. I tried to have a co-write with a universal writer, and I wrote them. Something very noisy.
Yeah.
Super noisy. I'm just mute things. So something really noisy going on.
Sounds like something in like an Asian language or something that's playing in the background.
Megha. Okay. So let's see. The letter would have had to try to have a co-write with a universal writer, and I wrote them about a placement. They didn't know him. Oh, well, that's crappy. There's no response for that. That's just like, oh no. And that does happen. So I'll have to talk to Letty about that. Let's see. And then she has to run. Okay. Thornton, what is your cut acceptance rate through your pitching example? Oh, that's a great question, Thornton. It sucks. For every 1,000 songs I pitch, 1,000 pitches, not like 1,000 songs, but 1,000 pitches. So one pitch might have one song, one pitch might have 300 songs. I get one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You are a hard worker, very hard worker. Great.
So the odds are horrendous. Everybody will tell you they're horrendous. It's like how much you throw out there. If you keep throwing stuff out there, something's going to happen. So you have to constantly, at every angle, in every way, be throwing stuff out there and trying. So the odds are not good.
Well, I'm going to take the opportunity to thank you. I appreciate you organizing this and everything because it's awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Thornton. Let's see, Ben, what I believe the music registry is called. No, Music Business Watch? No, Ben. No. That must be a different thing, which I'm interested in. Do you know, like, more about that?
Well, I just got an email from Rich, and he says Music Business Registry is now Music Business Watch.
Wow, he writes me like 17 times a day, and he didn't tell me that. That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess because he knows me so well, he maybe thought I knew that. I didn't know that. I mean, I talked to him like 3 times this morning.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah, I just got that at 4:45 my time.
Huh, that's great. Oh, so he sent that today.
Yeah, he sent it out today.
Oh, maybe I got it, but I haven't been, checking emails.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Thank you. That's great. So everybody know that. Music Business Watch. And then Nikki distribution companies separate from publishing companies. Distribution companies and publishing companies are 2 separate things, Nikki. They're not the same at all. Distribution companies distribute your record. So once you make your record, they put it out there. So they're totally different from publishing companies. Okay. Yeah. And Megha, you had a lot of other questions. So did we hit on them? Well, you were mentioning about live gigs, right?
Yes.
So how does one get live gigs in the US and UK markets? So you know what, the same way as all of this stuff, everything is about pitching. So you have to go and check out and search out the venues, like in London or wherever it is that you're interested in playing, in California, in Los Angeles, if it's in New York, wherever the city, and look up the local venues and read about them, and then you have to contact them and submit your music. It's kind of funny how it's all about research and marketing to do all these same things, and they're all possible. Like if you want to perform at the Bluebird in Nashville, not an easy thing to get the gig there, but you can do it. Or sometimes you get lucky. Like I was working with an artist last year, and I was in New York, and she was playing down the street at one club, and we were in this other club, and somehow I met the owner of the club sitting next to him, and I said, hey, we want this artist to work in your club, and he loved her and booked her in his club. I mean, you know, it's like so many things happen by accident. So you have to just keep being open to the possibilities and doing the research, because like with this A&R guy from me that I found pitching, sending invites, you know, sometimes the wrong person turns out to be the right person for something else. So, you know, but it's all the research. And let's see. Oh, the copyright thing you were asking. So no, you can only get your music copyrighted in your country of origin, your particular music. Now, as for copyrights, I don't ever copyright anything. I'm really bad about it. I think it's a waste of money. A song is copywritten the minute it's created. The only thing in our country, I'm not sure about in India, but in America, the only thing the copyright protects is your legal fees. So in other words, let's say that Sarah sues me and says that I wrote a song of hers. And she can do that because in this country, in America, there's frivolous lawsuits all day. There's even songwriter insurance, because once someone sues you, you have to deal with it. So she says I wrote one of her songs, and she sues me, and now I have to deal with it. And in order to deal with it, I either have to pay her to go away, like 25 grand or whatever, or I have to go to court. Now, if we go to court, and she loses, I can recover my legal fees because I have a copyright filed. But other than that, it doesn't help anything, because when I come to court and say, but I have a copyright filed, they don't care. They still are going to go through the lawsuit and make me prove that I wrote the song, even if I have a copyright actually assigned in the Copyright Office. So, one second, I'll unmute you, Mecca. So because of that, I don't. And the song is, the minute you create any kind of intellectual property, be it a poem, a book, a song, a cooking recipe, whatever it is, it's copywritten. So that's how
it doesn't matter. Somebody could just use it, and you either way have to go through the whole legal process of kind of, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really wrong thing, but that's just how it works. So again, it's already copywritten, like you were saying about sending yourself the copy in the mail. You can do that. You send it and don't open it, and that's sure, you can do that, but it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't make a difference. If someone sues you, you have to deal with it. So, and if someone steals your music, you have to deal with it. So the same difference. If, let's say someone's playing your song and saying it's theirs, you have to sue them. There's no way around it. And whether you have a copyright or not, you still have to. Nope. So it's very messed up, but that's kind of how it works. And then you were saying, is it better to get into websites like CD Baby Pro rather than gather your royalties from around the world? You can do that. A lot of people use things like CD Baby. You can do that. I personally go direct because, first of all, your PRO will collect the money directly Yes, and in India, your PRO will collect the record sales as well, as opposed to in the United States, where the record sales you have to collect separately. So I think that unless you want to go through the headache of collecting each territory separately, you really don't have to. And also, if you want to use CD Baby, it's really more of a distribution service for your album. So let's say you make your EP, like you're discussing, or your album, and you put it on CD Baby, and they're going to have some promotional services for you that you pay for and stuff, then you can try that too. I mean, we all can only try what we can try. You know, like it's such a crapshoot. What we decide might work. Like for instance, a friend of mine wanted for my event to try Google Ads. And it didn't make a difference. For me, I found the only way people come to things is if you personally invite them. So, and of course I'm so concerned because so many people that were invited didn't come. So that's kind of scary because, you know, they paid and they didn't come. So I'm a little concerned. But at any rate, you know, I have found that personal invites only work, and Facebook ads and Google ads and all of that. And that, I found that, so everything to me is personal. In my career, let me see, I'm just writing sync license different. Oh, and then Megha wrote, how is sync licensing different from getting royalties from ASCAP for TV shows and ads? Well, sync licensing is the way you license the song. So the PROs, your PRO in India and our PROs in the States, have nothing to do with sync licensing. They only pay once it's been used. Once it's been used, that cue sheet is filed, they pay the royalties. But the sync licensing is us going directly to the productions, to the music supervisors, and licensing the songs to them for the individual shows and movies and games and ads.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's see how helpful. We just looked at kind of about indie labels and promoting their music. I mean, it all depends. If they have, like we were saying, if you're signed to something like Glassnode and they have major label distribution, then that could be very helpful. And if they're willing to spend money to promote it, could be very helpful. My friend Chuck, he has a meditation music called Liquid Mind series that he works with, and he finds his label very helpful in promoting the music. So that's why he likes them. So, and it's an indie like meditation music kind of label. So sometimes you get lucky, right? And sometimes you don't. But how does one place ads, movies, TV abroad? The same way you do. Yeah, we answered that. Yep. And then you wrote, how do you get to know?
I actually typed a lot of questions here on the chat, so I think we've gone through quite a few.
Great. Okay. So then you wrote about YouTube as a medium. Oh, we didn't discuss that. How helpful is YouTube? YouTube is, for some people, has been amazing. Some people have YouTube channels where they have like 10 million subscribers and they're unsigned artists and they're making like tons and, I'm sorry about that. They're making like tons and tons of music. Let me shut this off. So they're making tons and tons of money. I mean, not tons and tons of music, tons and tons of money by putting their videos up on and having subscribers to their YouTube channels and becoming successful as YouTube artists. It's quite lucrative. It's a lot of work. Oh, sorry. None of you have to unmute yourselves, huh? That's so weird. I don't know why. I'm just going to unmute you. Check that out since we're small group now. What were we saying?
YouTube and revenue via YouTube.
What about the revenue?
Via YouTube.
Yeah, so the revenue via YouTube can be very lucrative for those people, but they have to do a lot of promoting to make.
So it depends on the number of views you have. So once you cross a number of views, is when YouTube starts paying you. But obviously for original music, right?
Yeah, for the original music, though, these unsigned artists have their YouTube channels and millions of subscribers, and they've become very popular, and sometimes A&R people, major ones, find them. And then I've recently read a bunch of articles about famous YouTube artists who got signed to major labels, and it turned out to be a disaster for them because their whole platform disintegrated and the major labels didn't help them, and they lost their fan bases and they didn't make any money, and then they got dropped from the labels. And so you never know, right? Yeah. Were you going to say something, Sarah?
Me? No.
No, okay, great.
I was just nodding along to that.
Yeah, because it's crazy about that. Earl has let's see, I have a question about the definition of co-songwriting where it begins and the ethics. Yeah. Why don't you ask that?
If I could ask that, so if I'm writing a song, I've only written both the music and lyrics myself. I've never collaborated with anyone.
Oh, how interesting!
What's that?
That's interesting, and you're such a great writer.
I've not done that yet, and I know that there has to be trust in that process. So where does the definition of co-writing come in? If I, for example, I've paid you to be my coach, so there's no you're not part of that songwriting. you know, I paid you to do that. But if I have my wife listen to the song and she might suggest a lyric change here or there, you know, I'm not including her on the co-writing, or should I? I want to make sure that I'm ethically doing what I need to do. I want to be fair to people. For example, another question would be if a friend offers to, hey, I'd like to help you with your lyrics, you know, run it by me. And, you know, it kind of goes back to Jeff's original opening question. Are those the kinds of things that you have to work out ahead of time before you have anybody asking for help?
Yeah, I think you should work out those things ahead of time. I will say, however, kind of like, there's a lot of times that I'm working on something and Harry might interject a lyric or something. I would give him credit, but he never cashes his royalty check, so I stopped, you know? So, you know, and with Barb, if it's in the same pie, you know, you could or couldn't. That's really a decision you two make. I mean, if you think it would be fun to give her credit, then go for it, you know, but why not? I mean, have fun.
But theoretically, if I do ask the question for you to, for someone to help, then theoretically they should be part of it.
Yes, I do believe that. And I also believe, like, let's say I write a whole song and the bridge needs some help and I decide to farm it out to a co-writer, that they get 50%. Because it's my fault they didn't finish it. And they could have made the song a hit by contributing that little bit they contributed, and their vibe and their energy. And so, yes, but that's just me. And so I feel that way. I feel that anytime we are asking for help and allowing that, then we have polluted our song. And I co-write all the time, but then, you know, the co-writer, unless, like, for instance, like at Song You know, I always give advice and give specifics, but I tell them up front, you don't have to give me any credit. This is a freebie. How about this line? You know? So that's the arrangement that I feel is correct, because I'm mentoring them and helping them, and I don't feel they should give me a share. And I hope they use my suggestion because I think it's better. So you know what I'm saying? I hope they send me a thank you note someday. That's so it really it's dependent on what your agreement is. But if it's a real co-writing situation where it's actually an outside writer, like if you come to Thornton and you say, Thornton, I think you would be the best co-writer for me, yeah, then he gets his share, because that's not fair.
Yeah, that would be clear. I was just more concerned about the nebulous part of it.
Yeah, so like with your wife, you know, yeah, I mean, you know, if you feel that she wants it, then yeah, I would give it to her. Like I said, I'd give it to Harry, but what's the point? So I have, let's see, and the importance of SoundCloud for getting signed. Did we discuss that, Nikki? I don't think SoundCloud is important for getting signed at all.
Okay.
So SoundCloud is great if that's the platform you're using to upload your music so people can hear it, whether privately or publicly. But importance, nah, it's not important. You have to work these things to be important. If you market it like mad, like people do with those YouTube channels where they spend, you know, they're spending 8 hours a day marketing their YouTube channel. It's a full-time job for them, so they're making money from it.
Right.
I mean, if you want to do that, SoundCloud too, you know, you certainly, then it would be helpful. But just to put music up there, nah, that's not helpful at all. It doesn't matter.
I've heard that the labels look at SoundCloud, like how many followers you have or views, as like one of the big determinants of like an artist getting signed. I'm sure YouTube is right up there too. And there's services that you can actually pay for them to promote you on SoundCloud. So you're saying you don't feel like any of that is worth it in terms of getting a label's attention?
I think it's only worth it if you've already gotten the label's attention, or if they like it and then they want to hear more. But you have to work that. So
Right.
if you're willing to work it, spend the time, spend the money, it might help.
Okay.
But just to post songs up there won't make a difference. But yeah,
Okay.
like I'm saying, if you really work it, like spend 8 hours a day working your SoundCloud or working your YouTube, yeah, you might get something happening from it. People do. So, but they're not just letting it sit idle, like sitting there. Yeah, it's all marketing.
Right. There was a second part of a question that I asked about the distribution. Are there any specific distribution companies that you go through that you use or that you like?
No, because I don't use distribution companies, because I'm writing for artists and writing for music. I'm not distributing. Yeah, I'm not distributing, but I know that people do use CD Baby, and iTunes has a service where they do some distribution, and AdRib has a service where they do some distribution, and Firefox does, and you know, you have to just look them up. There's a bunch of them that have distribution possibilities. Nobody has actually come to me and told me, "Oh, this is so amazing that I have to." You know, talk to some indie artists who do it. I think my friend Carrie, who has a lot of success, uses CD Baby.
Okay. And just to go from before, there's earlier you talked about like a who's looking list for A&R and labels.
Yeah, it's called the Who's Looking List.
It's called Who's Looking List.
Mm-hmm. And it's $20 a month.
And that's
I think the music registry also has it listed on its website now, because I think they partnered a little bit, so you can buy it, I think, off the musicregistry.com site as well. As the Who's Looking.
Okay, great.
Thank you. And I like that one. It's good. Sometimes he doesn't update it quite well enough, but it's good. It's for major label artists who are looking for songs. Not for artists pitching their songs. There's nothing that exists on a pitch list for an artist trying to get a record deal.
Right.
This is like Kelly Clarkson's looking for songs, Carrie Underwood's looking for this kind of song. This is who her A&R person is, that kind of thing. And then you're also saying about split sheet. How much are lyric writing worth in terms of the writing credit versus writing the music? When does a writer or what writer gets publishing credit? Okay, all writers get publishing credit. The minute a song is written, it's published. So it's published by the writers who write it. They don't have to be signed to a publishing deal. So you publish your own music. That's why you should have a publishing account at ASCAP. You shouldn't just have a writer's account, because you are the publisher of the song. If you have a co-writer, you're each publishers of the song and writers of the song.
You're saying if the song is written, it's published?
Yes.
How is that?
Because the writer is a publisher. So 50% goes to you as the writer, 50% goes to you as the publisher, which is why, again, you should have a publisher's account at ASCAP. That's how a song works. A song is divided into two shares, half the writer's share, half the publishing share. It's always that way. And the writer is the publisher unless he has or she has assigned publishing to an outside company.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So if I collaborated with somebody, with a producer that helped write and compose the music to my song, when I wrote the lyrics and the melody, are they entitled to writer's credit?
What came first?
The melody and the lyrics that I wrote. The song was technically done, like meaning not done, the production wasn't there, but and I had it like written on an acoustic guitar with my own lyrics and the melody, which I could play and sing by myself. And then I met a producer who I really liked his sound, and he added stuff to it, but then he ended up wanting publishing credit because he wrote parts of the music, like he added violin or whatever other.
Okay, so I understand. So basically, like I was saying before, this is something that has to be discussed up front. This should have been discussed up front. Now you've learned a big lesson.
Right.
You wrote the song.
Right.
A song is melody and the lyric. That's a song. Unless you write to a track, which we'll discuss after that. But you wrote the song first on a guitar, and therefore you wrote the song. You then hired a producer or arranger to create your production, your demo, your record. You paid him. You own it. He does not get any publishing or writing credit. A violin is an arrangement. It is not writing. Okay?
Oh, it's an arrangement. Okay. It's
an arrangement. If I can, like right now, I'm arranging some 80s songs for a movie. Do I get writing and publishing credit for that? Of course not. I'm doing an arrangement of them. I can arrange it any way I want. I've licensed the song part, the sing part, and I can arrange it any way I want. So if I want to put violins on Our Lips Are Sealed, I can. You know, I don't get any credit for that because I'm the producer and the arranger. I am not the writer. I am not the publisher. And no, I have been paid to do this. Right. So that's what you're doing.
Right.
If the track came first, and you wrote, like Sarah likes to do, the melody and lyric on top of the track, then the track is 50% and the track writer is the writer, because the track writer wrote the music.
Oh, I see.
He already created it, and then the melody and lyric was created to it. So then that person is a writer and publisher. But if I write a song on an acoustic guitar, which is how I always write, and I let's say I didn't produce it, I always do, but let's say I didn't, I gave it to Thornton to produce it, then he gets paid. He's not getting writer and publisher credit just because he created a production and put some violins in the arrangement.
Right.
You know? That is not correct. And that is something you need, like we were saying before, to discuss up front. I think we were discussing with Jeffrey, that you have to make sure that you know that up front, that you own the master, you created it, he's being paid, and that's it. You know, it's a work for hire. You should make him sign paperwork, work for hire paperwork. And that's it. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Yes, thank you.
Michelle, along those same lines, can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Sure.
So if you share the writer's credit on the lyrics only, that writer's portion of it, you would still own the melody portion, and so that whole writer's share would be 75% to you and 25% to the person that helped you with the lyrics?
I only split in equal splits, and I'm not quite sure what you're saying. You're saying that because you already had most of the song written and that person just contributed lyrics, you want to give them 25%? You can try it. I wouldn't do it. I'll only do 50-50. I'll only do equal splits, but that doesn't mean I'm God. You know, you can try whatever you want.
Well, I wasn't.
Yeah.
No, I haven't done it yet.
Well, you can suggest anything you want. You can ask anything you want. I myself will feel like it's my fault I couldn't finish this. I needed help on it. And maybe what made it become most fabulous was those few lines of lyric that changed it. And I should have struggled more and worked on it and not brought in another person if I wasn't willing to share with them. So that's just, you know, but that's just me. So I'm a firm believer in equal splits. However, except, you know, in one case, if Sarah, for you, if it's two people to make a track, that's their fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then I split 50 to the track, 50 to you, because it's not my fault that two people needed to make a drum beat, you know? So
definitely.
Yeah. So
sorry, go ahead.
It shouldn't be thirds at all.
I was just going to go back to the percents. I know that for me, when I first started to write the music and, the lyrics and the melody, and I appreciate that you don't call it top line because I totally understand that argument. I know DJs that I've worked with will send me the track at the beginning, and they were like, "Oh, you know, well, you're only writing the melody and the lyrics, so like I'm only giving you 20%," or like something like that. And it was like, no. And once I started asking for, you said equal splits, then that was a whole lot better for me.
Oh, good.
Does that make sense?
Of course. Yeah, because it is better.
Yeah.
It's easier, and Trina was saying something that's an interesting question. How have things changed money-wise for you now that there are shows streaming? Do you get paid less for placements in Netflix shows or replays in Netflix? Okay, so Dre, that's an interesting question. You know, it's sort of like Netflix is sort of like found money for things that were already. So if I have songs that were already in shows that are on Netflix, it's kind of like found money. They're just re-airing extra on Netflix. It's very small, but it's fine. And if I write for a show that actually originates on Netflix, yes, the money is small. It's smaller than if I have a song on CBS. So the majors, everything is prorated. So ABC, NBC, CBS still pay the same. Then it's all prorated royalty-wise based on date time and prime time and afternoon time and non-prime. And there's a gazillion kinds of times in the, and then it's also prorated based on time. So if it's 5 seconds or 3 minutes, or it's all prorated. So, you know, it's all extra. The problem is there are now 3,000 networks and streaming services, and the problem is there's the same amount of ad money because royalties from TV get paid from advertising. I don't know if you know that, but that's how they get paid. So every year the PROs negotiate with all the networks, now thousands of, for licensing fees for them to pay the writers. So there's like a blanket amount paid every year, but the problem is it comes from advertising dollars, and the same amount pretty much of dollars that used to be spread over 10 networks is now spread over 3,000 networks, so all the payments have decreased. So whatever, if like I was looking once at a statement in 1993, the CBS payments were twice as much per use as they are now. So all the royalty rates have dropped. Of course, and all the sync fees we know have disintegrated. So now it's become volume. It's just all about volume. You know, getting more songs on that Netflix show to make up for the fact that there's less money to be made. But it's all good. I mean, Mehaya, you going to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. So
I have time to question though.
What's that? Oh, I see one here. Is this the one? Should one put original songs on YouTube? Is that what you were going to ask?
Yep. Yeah, the same one.
Oh, so let's see. What are you saying? Because obviously there's a chance it might get stolen. Okay, look. So, you know, there's like this, the stealing thing we were talking about before was kind of hypothetical because, you know, I've never had a song stolen. And once someone said they wrote my song and I quickly wrote them and said you didn't write it and they went away. And, you know, we have to put our music out there. We have to put our music. I submit, like I was saying, thousands and thousands of songs on websites to people, wherever they want me to put them. And that's just how we have to do it. You know, we can't be worried about who's going to steal from us all day and who's going to, you know, if someone does something bad, we eliminate them. And we have to trust that the system, somehow we're going to be able to work it. And we have to put our music out there. If we don't, we'll never get anywhere and no one will hear it. So there's really no legal procedure to be done except their standard licenses. And, you know, if someone
won't help anyway.
You know, so, you know, and you're saying how will the artists get paid by Spotify? Apple Music plays terribly. So the problem with streaming, which is all, you've read about all these lawsuits going on and the Department of Justice and the songwriters lobbying, is that there's a big pie, and pretty much for the streaming services, 45% goes to the record labels, 50% goes to Spotify, and 5% goes to the writers and publishers. So that's the problem, is the writers and publishers aren't making any money. So the streaming services are paying the labels the money, but the writers and the publishers aren't getting any money. So the artists are getting more than the writers are. And it's a big discrepancy, 45% to 5% for the writers and publishers. So that's why all the lobbying is going on right now, and the Department of Justice lawsuits and everything that's going on is to try to fix that balance. And I don't know how we're going to succeed, but basically we have to take money away from the record labels to give more money to the songwriters and publishers.
Yeah.
So right now the artists are getting paid better than the writers, but nobody's getting paid very well because the streaming money is micro pennies.
Okay.
So, like, especially for writers, if you have 15 million streams, you might make $10. Yeah, especially if you have co-writers. I mean, there's like no money.
$5.
Yeah, like $5. Yeah, in American money. So,
Michelle, are there aren't there new streaming companies that have emerged because of this problem?
they're doing the same thing. They're not changing the situation. They just keep merging, just keep more and more streaming companies just competing with the other streaming companies, but they're really not paying any better to the writers. So, and they really don't have to because of the Department of Justice's decrees. They really don't have to. So this is the problem. And let's see, have you had your songs licensed? Thornton saying for video games or greeting cards, where do you pitch opportunities in games? Yes, in games, not in greeting cards actually, which is a really great market. And greeting cards tend to use more covers of songs, but it's a great market. And in games, yes, but in games the same way, just pitching to the gaming company like pitching to a film or a TV show. So that's kind of the same situation. And with greeting cards, it would be too, you know, you contact Hallmark, try to find out who the music person is and all the different greeting card companies and submitting your music, you know what I mean? It's an awesome idea, and yeah, if you have time, do it. Definitely. You know, go on LinkedIn. Often I go on LinkedIn and I look up and like who's there at Hallmark on LinkedIn. Like I Google Hallmark at LinkedIn, and then I look down and I can see who a marketing person is, who a creative person is, and I make friends with them and try to finally nail down who the music person might be. You know what I mean?
Is that for musical cards or for like
Yeah, for
writing
musical
cards?
For musical cards.
It's so interesting because you'd think that like if you get a musical card, it's like some like a very standard song.
That's
like,
what I was saying. They're usually covers or standards, but sometimes there are original songs. I've heard some on greeting cards. So, and greeting cards are very lucrative. So you want to look, what?
Very lucrative, yes.
Sure. Yeah, so you want to look out, you can look up the possibilities. It's not an easy pitch, but nothing is easy. So I would say, yeah, go for it.
But if you use the original song, I mean somebody else's song, right? So don't you have to like?
You have to license the song. So in other words, if I'm doing 2 songs from the 80s and I license them from Universal and BMG, you know, I made rates with them to be able to put the songs in the movie, and now I'm making covers. So I don't have to license the original masters, and it's much cheaper. So I've made new versions of them for the film after doing the licensing. Yeah, so you would do the same thing with a cover for a greeting card. The only problem with that for a greeting card is you'd only get paid a little bit up front. You wouldn't get the royalties. So like Thornton's asking, it'd be really good if you could create an original song for a greeting card. I mean, that would be...
That makes no sense, I guess.
Yeah, if you get the royalties, it would be fabulous. Like for these covers, I don't get any royalties. The writers and the publishers do. I'm just getting upfront fees. So, yeah, I love that idea, Thornton. Go for it.
Where does the money come in from that? Just from selling as many of those cards are sold?
Yeah, it's just like selling records. They scan the card. You know, like when you get the scanning, and that's how they know whether they sold them, and they compile the amount. Like in the old days, it used to be they'd actually, with a greeting card or with a record, I don't know if you're too young, but you'd go in a record store and there'd be a ledger book, and you'd buy the album, and they'd write down they sold it. They'd write down that they sold the album, or they'd write down that they sold the greeting card, and they keep a ledger book, and that goes to the companies to pay the royalties. But today, because of barcodes, they just scan the barcode, and that all compiles into how they know what sells.
Can I ask a question about licensing?
Sure.
How much does that what does that usually cost, or does it vary from each song, like to license a song?
You mean to license a hit song like that?
Yeah, or any, I mean, there's obviously, like, if it's a more popular song, it's probably more expensive, right?
You mean because you want to make a cover?
Yes.
Okay, well, first of all, if you want to make a cover of a song, anybody can do it. So once there's a first mechanical license, let's say you want to put it on your album. You don't have to, all you need is a mechanical license. And then you have to pay them royalties, the 9.1 cents per album sold. You don't have to do any kind of synchronization license. However, if you want to make a music video of that song and put it on YouTube, then you have to do the sync license. If you want to put it in a movie, you have to license it. But if you just want to put it on your album as a song, you do not have to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you just have to pay the royalties, which are 9.1 cents per song per album sold, record sold. So if you should want to sync it to video and put it on your YouTube as a video, then you need to do a license. And the license can vary. Like, for instance, for an indie movie, you might be able to license for $2,500 for a hit song, but then steps along the way, like at every 100,000 in the box office, they get another 2,500 until maybe they reach 25,000 or $30,000, and then it would cap. But constantly, the production has to keep paying steps, it's called, on the back end to make the license work for the publisher. So you might, and some songs, like one song I wanted to license for this movie, they wanted 10,000 up front. They wouldn't accept what I wanted. So it depends. You know what I'm saying? It might be 3,000, it might be 5,000. It's usually going to be in that area, but then you're going to have back-end steps, because if not, for like a movie, you would traditionally upfront with no steps in the back end pay maybe 25,000 for a hit song to 200,000 for a hit song. And ads pay the best. Like for an ad, you usually get paid if you were creating an ad or if you were licensing the song for an ad, between 25,000 and 100,000 for the ad. So it can vary. Now, of course, for movies and TV, it's much less, and it can be anywhere from gratis, from free, if it's a new song, to $5,000, $10,000, or usually in the range of $500. I mean, all the fees have gone down. So they really vary. And there's really not much to negotiate. Most of the time it's, I have this, do it. Does that make sense?
You have what?
The music supervisor will say, I have $500 and take it or leave it. And if you leave it, they'll never work with you again because they've already liked the song and they want to use it. And so you agree with it and that's it. Like, you can't haggle with them. Does that make sense? You look confused.
If you like, I got confused on that last part.
Okay, so if let's say that a music supervisor comes to me and they want to use one of my songs, not a hit song, just one of my new songs, one of my songs in my catalog,
right, and
they want to use it in the show, they're not going to negotiate with me. They're going to tell me they have whatever fee they have, be it $500, $200, maybe it's free, maybe it's gratis and I'll only get the back end. They're going to tell me, this is all I have, and that's what I'm offering you. And you can say yes or no. And if you say no, you cannot negotiate with them. They're coming to you, telling you this is all I have.
Okay.
And if you try to negotiate with them, they're never going to work with you again and really write you off because they're already embarrassed enough to have to come to you and tell you this is all they have. It's hard for them. And if you say no, you won't do it for that fee, then they're never going to work with you again either. So you kind of have no choice.
Right.
You really have to do it because you put the song out there, you sent it to them, now they like it, it works for their scene, they want to use it, and you want to have a relationship with them, and hopefully you're going to make royalties on the back end because sometimes the back end royalties are much more lucrative than what you're going to get for that sync, that master fee. Now, does that make sense? Or no?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes. Thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah. So back to Stealing Girl says, on the writing side of it. Okay, just explain. What are you saying?
I'm just from my perspective, I want to make sure that I don't steal somebody else's song. I've got a lot of lyrics and music stuff in my head, and I don't, sometimes there's a line, is it mine or have I heard that somewhere before? So how do I ease my fears?
Hope for the best.
What's that?
Hope for the best. Play it for some friends. Play it at Song.U and ask, does it sound like anything else? Like I recently had someone submit a song for coaching to me that I told her this song was so close to this other song in the melody. And I just told her, it was an old style song. I played it for my dad. I mean, he's 84. He immediately heard the resemblance, I mean, it's like, then we have to fix it. But if you're uncertain, play it for a few people and just ask them. But probably you're okay. Probably it's okay. Yeah. Or, you might maybe if you Shazammed it, it might come up the other song. You never know. I'm not sure how tight that works, how close that will pick something up, but it might. Right? Because your new song wouldn't be registered with them, but if there was some hit song around, it might think it's that. Yeah. Oh, it's cool that, sure, especially in country music where it seems to be, there's a lot of formula. Sure, I hear you, with country music, it's so many songs are quite similar and it's really the lyric that is the most important thing and makes the song stand out and be different. But you have to be careful. You have to try not to make it sound like that, something else. And Nikki's saying, do you help play songs for other, no. I do not, because I'm too nice of a person and I don't have thick enough skin to pitch other people's songs. I did it in the past and I hated it because, Nikki, if I pitch your song and they pick my song instead, I almost felt worse. And if I pitch your song and it doesn't get placed, but Sarah's song does, then I feel bad again. And I don't have the skin for it. I mean, if people reject me, my songs, I could care less. They can make frisbees. I get rejected all day. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm so used to being rejected. Because really what I found out is that I don't care about the no's. I just need enough yeses to sustain the work. So if I get enough yeses, I can live. But if I don't get enough yeses, then I have a problem. So, but the no's, they're all day. And so, but if they know you, oh my God, if they say no for your music, it breaks my heart. So I can't, I don't do it.
I was just thinking because like you were saying, like the managers sometimes when they get these, when they like make a deal or something, they get a percentage of how it should be. And you're someone that like makes your career out of getting songs placed and doing things like that. So it seems like, I mean, obviously, if you were interested and you liked the song and you believed in it, that you would be a good person to help get a new artist in the door in terms of like placements and stuff. But
because again, I can't do it. It breaks my heart. It's too hard for me. I teach people like this how to fish.
right.
These salads. But to pitch, no, it's a strict policy. The only time I'll pitch is like if I wrote a song with someone, my co-writer will benefit from it. But no, I hated doing it. I tried for a while because everybody asks me. They ask me every day, and I'm probably turning down a nice income stream, but I can't do it. It's just, you know, and a co-writer of mine actually started a library recently. She's looking for more music. It's called Pink Shark. But I think she's looking for the instrumentals only. So, I make instrumentals of every song that I produce. I always have an instrumental version.
What is it called again?
Pink Shark.
Okay.
Pink Shark. And she has a website. And she put out a Facebook thing looking for music the other day. So, and then she's a writer. So, but she decided to start a library about a year or two ago, and it's been successful for her. She likes doing it. So me, I hate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. Her name is Renat. R-I-N-A-T.
Renat. I'm sorry.
That's her name. Her personal name. Her name is Renat. Her company is called Pink Shark. Yeah.
And she helps people get things.
She's not helping, she has a library.
Okay.
Like to say helping them, she's getting songs for the library and she's pitching.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's created a big library and she's enjoying doing it.
For other people's music or her own?
Both. She has her own in the library and she has other people's music in the library. Yeah, like I was just saying, she's put out a call the other day on Facebook that she was looking for more music for her library.
Okay.
Non-exclusive.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And Earl, it's better if you raise your hand because I'm kind of dyslexic looking at the chat. What are you saying?
Ignore that. I'll just ask you for a minute.
Yeah, just ask me. We're
Okay,
small now.
so in your handout, you talked about this cut rate, and I hadn't heard about that before. So thanks for writing the handout. The handout was very nice. But I wonder if that influences or biases, or if a producer then says because there's that standard cut rate, the artist is going to prefer that the artist use their original song rather than an outside songwriter? Is that?
Try that again. I'm not understanding the question.
Okay, so if there's a cut rate where the artist automatically gets, this 75% cut rate, would the producer prefer to use the artist's songs rather than a outside songwriter like me? Because that cut rate wouldn't apply to me as the outside songwriter. Does that make sense?
Okay, well, sort of. Okay, let me try to explain better about the cut rates. It sort of makes sense, but the cut rate is because in every artist's record deal, major artist's record deal, is what's called the controlled composition clause. Every record deal has it, and what it does is subject the co-writers of the artist and the producers of the artist who are also writers to the cut rate. So in other words, let's use an example. Let's say Carrie Underwood. Let's say Carrie Underwood is making a record and the decision of the songs is not the producers. The decision of what songs goes on the record is Carrie's and the record companies. So now that Carrie's such a big artist, she has some sort of rights to choose her own songs. If she were a new artist, it'd be more the record label that was choosing the songs, but not the producers. The producers don't choose what songs go on the record. Now, Carrie's making a record. Now she uses your song that you wrote 100%. Therefore, you are not subjected to the cut rate because you did not write the song with her. And you are not the producer. So you are not subjected to the cut rate. Now, if you write the song 100% and you produce it, you are now subjected to the cut rate. If you write the song with Carrie as a collaborator, you are now subjected to the cut rate. And because it is in her contract, you cannot negotiate out of it. Her contract stipulates that's how you will get paid. And this is really, of course, unfair because you did not sign her contract, but that's how it works. So she can subject you. Usually it's a 3/4 rate. Sometimes it's even 50% half rate, but it's usually a 3/4 cut rate, which means that it's like instead of 9.1 cents, like 7% or 7 cents or something. And so you are subjected to it. It just works that way. So the record label does not care. The record label and the artist are looking for the best songs possible. So they're not going to not record an outside song. So for instance, it even gets more complicated. Let's say that you write a song with me for Carrie's album. You are an outside writer. Me, I'm the producer. Now I'm subjected to the cut rate, but you are not. Even though we're both collaborators on the same song, you are not subjected to the cut rate because you're just a free enterprise outside writer. But me as the producer, I get subjected to the cut rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
However, okay, so then next, you still might be requested by them to take the cut rate. This happens a lot. They might still come and say, you know, we want to do the mechanical license for the cut rate to you. Now you can turn it down. Of course, if you turn it down, you're kind of calling their bluff because then they might take the song off the record, right? So then it becomes, when is the release date? Because if the release date was tomorrow, I would tell them, no, I'm not taking the cut rate. But if the release date is 3 months from now, I might take the cut rate, right? Because if it's tomorrow, they're not going to take it off the album. It's done. And so, and actually, I've never taken a cut rate, except for the producing ones. I've never, as an outside writer, taken a cut rate. I've been asked, but I've never taken it. So I've managed not to, and sometimes you call, you know, you can play the game and play Russian roulette. And there are times when they might take the song off the album. And there are some artists, I think Beyonce does, and I know Celine Dion does, who require you give up publishing to them, or they won't cut the song anyway. And then that's not even the subject of the cut rate to the record label, but that's also to the artists themselves for cutting the song. Because they feel they're making standards out of your songs because they're so massive and important that they might not record your song without that agreement up front. So, you know, the songwriters at every angle are being asked to take less and less to what they're already not making, and that's just how it works. But again, it has no determination of whether they use outside writers or not. They don't care. They're really looking for the best songs, what they think are the best songs, right? Yeah, yeah. And who knows what the best songs are, right? Because lots of times we think, God, my song is so much better than that. Yeah. So let's see. And Thornton's saying, is it lucrative pitch instrumental songs for companies like Music or 3M that play music and gospel? Yeah, sure, Thornton. That's you're coming up with all these great alternative thoughts, and that's really wonderful because there are so many alternative ways to get our music out there and to pitch for all different kinds of opportunities. And so definitely.
Well, I had a friend who passed away about 5 years ago. His name, he was big in the industry. His name was Harry Finfer on the East Coast. I don't know, maybe you've never heard of him, but I was doing that for a while, and I was making some pretty good money, and I don't know why I stopped doing it, but he had me write some original tunes that were melodies, and they would do them acoustic. He said they didn't want electronic music, but at the time. So we did acoustical things. You know, you listen to a Muzak or 3M or something. And I was getting paid, and he encouraged me to do that, and I just don't know why it stopped. I mean, maybe it's not, I don't know how lucrative it is now, but I had a catalog of that with 3M, is what it's called. Minnesota, I think it's Minnesota.
Uh-huh. Wow.
You know, they play, like I said, they play in elevators and airports and restaurants and things.
Wow. See, that's amazing.
But I didn't know if it was still a good opportunity or not. I guess I got caught in doing a lot of writing for like you know, like pop or country songs and things.
Well, I think you can only try it. You know, why not? What would it take to zip up a bunch of instrumentals and send them over? Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many. There's also royalty-free websites that use music, and bless you. Royalty-free music is an interesting thought too, because it's not really royalty-free. It's royalty-free on the end of the user, but you get royalties for it. The companies pay you for the people who use the music. So I like royalty-free sometimes. I think I have some songs I've done for that. You know, there's Getty Images uses music, and you know they have a huge music library. There's so many. So 3M Music, sure. I mean, I think you can only try, right?
All right. Yeah.
It also depends if they like your music. If you're not like per se, but if your music gets used a lot, if your music turns out to be something that is used a lot, then you're going to get a lot of royalties, right? Like if I maybe submit music to a company that's mostly using metal and I only give them 3 metal songs and 50 EDM songs, probably I'm not going to make that much.
Right. Or maybe it wouldn't hurt. I mean, maybe to renew. I mean, they may have even forgotten about me. It's been like 10 years ago, but it might.
You want to renew the relationship.
It might not be a bad idea to contact them and just say, I used to have this relation. I mean, you know, songs with you. And would you be interested in maybe trying to write some songs for, or you know, whatever?
Yeah, of course. Would you just say I have a lot of new songs since then in my catalog? Like for instance, Getty, for instance, they only want hundreds of songs at a time. So if you've given them hundreds of songs and now you've run out of songs, you have to wait till you've written another 300 songs to send them something useful. So
that does pose a dilemma. Did you say ASCAP was the one that was really friendly with composers or not? Or?
Oh, you mean score composers? Yeah, on that's a different subject, but on that subject, yeah. So ASCAP, it's not friendly. It's just that they pay composers well. So
they treat composers well. So if I'd written if I'm an ASCAP writer and I have written instrumentals, acoustic instrumentals, and they take some of those, then ASCAP would help.
ASCAP pays well for instrumental because their rate is a little higher for the instrumental. So if you're a film composer doing scores, you're going to do well. But if you're writing vocal songs, you're not going to do very well. Depends what your business really comes down to. You know, like I do some instrumentals and have them placed, but I'm doing more vocal music, and the vocal music pays 10 times more. So at ASCAP, I'm going to lose a lot. I'm not going to make the money that I'm making at CSEC or BMI by being at ASCAP. But if I'm a film composer and I'm writing scores to movies all day, then I might be better off at ASCAP.
Okay. Well, I know, like, for instance, give an example like Kenny G, you know, Kenny G's music.
Yeah.
Well, if it was written more up-to-date Kenny G music, but it was acoustical, you know, it's melodic, that might pay pretty well. I don't know.
Well, it depends if we're discussing radio, like an artist like Kenny G on the radio, because his music on the radio gets weighted just like Beyonce's. It doesn't matter if it's vocal or instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
So we're only talking here about the TV money that's coming from the PROs. So if it's in a film, a game, a TV, that kind of thing. So for that kind of music, the pay scale for Kenny G in other words, he's still making songs. So if he had songs in a lot of films, and he would then be paid as background music because it's instrumental music. But if we're talking about radio, then it doesn't make a difference. Does that make sense?
Yes, but ASCAP does monitor, doesn't it, like all the hospitals and elevators and all those places too, right?
Yeah, but so does BMI and so does CSAC.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's MUSAC. And MUSAC is the service that actually pays to them. So in other words, I have a lot of songs on MUSAC because I have some hit songs and they play, sometimes I hear them in the grocery store and in the bank and whatever, but it's not the bank and the grocery store that are paying those, it's MUSAC because it's on the MUSAC service. So every year, just like CBS, MUSAC does a blanket license with the PROs, pays them $1 gazillion, and out of that money, they pay for the individual playlists, because now Muzak has a playlist of what's being played, and they submit those, just like the radio stations do, and they pay on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it would just come, the check would come from Muzak?
No, the check comes from
ASCAP.
ASCAP.
ASCAP,
Yes,
right.
because Muzak does a license with ASCAP.
Right. Although they might give you an upfront. It's possible, like you said, when you license for music with a music supervisor. I don't know if they do it anymore. Does Muzak ever give any upfront fees, or are they all
You know,
just?
they could maybe direct license, because networks direct license. For instance, you might go to the Travel Channel and do a direct license with them, so that they're not going to pay you through your PRO, and they're not going to give you any cue sheets, but they're going to pay you $3,000 a year for the opportunity to use your music royalty free. And Muzak, it's possible. I don't know if Muzak does it, but you can certainly. That's a great question. I'll look into it, and you can look into it. It's an interesting thought if they would direct license. Now, direct licensing is really not good for writers. It's good in terms of I'll get $3,000, and don't we all want $3,000? But it's really not good in the long run for writers, because the royalties are so much more lucrative, and we're kind of cutting our noses off to spite our faces by doing direct licensing. But we can try to do it, and it's possible Muzak will do that and play your music in some elevators and whatever for a fee for the year directly to you, and bypass your PRO. It's very possible. Yeah, just like some of those networks do. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen. I just want to say thank you and thank you, group two, everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you will do more of these.
Thanks. Great question. Thanks.
Lovely meeting all of you.
I have to cut short. I have a book signing event
Yeah,
tonight.
congratulations on your new book.
Thank you.
That's
So.
the ukulele, right? What's it called?
Right, I'm actually on the East Coast right now. I don't live on the East Coast, but I'm on the East Coast.
Oh, nice. And it's the Amazing Shrinking.
Yeah, the Amazing, Incredible Shrinking Ukulele. But I'm also, last night I was promoting my adult book called Not My Time to Go. It's 11 true, compelling stories of near-death experiences.
Wow.
Very cool.
Congratulations, Thor. And he also has the incredible, amazing shrinking violin that was very successful.
It was very, very.
Yes, it's really cool. Really cool. Everybody's super talented that's here.
Thank you, Michelle, for everything. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle. We really appreciate it. It's so helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
Michelle.
Ben, thank you always. Thank you. So, okay.
Good.
Well, we shall meet again.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Good seeing you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.